Hello everyone and welcome to round 10 of the 2026 Formula Sprint 2 series. We've had a very exciting last time running back in Spa-Francorchamps, which we have kind of seen what has been a repeat formula of a first-time winner in the form of Lucas Machulik after the end of race 2, and then the Hungaroring poses a very different challenge to that of the Spa-Francorchamps. It's a completely different style of racing as we wait to see who could emerge victorious there. Will we see another repeat first winner, or are we going to see a familiar face take charge to the top step of the podium once again? We're back to find out in a very short minute's time, as qualifying is slowly going to get underway just very shortly. But with us here, Fabio Youngblood for the first time ever is with us here in the cameras. Big thanks to him. And joining me alongside here in the Hungaroring is my very good friend Lorenzo Eterovic-Funcic. How are you, my dear friend?
Hello, I'm doing fine, thank you. I hope most of our drivers are doing fine as well. Well, not most, all. But, yeah, you mentioned sort of like the usual formula so far in FS2 this season, where we've had the new time winner. I think this time it won't happen unless they manage to stick it on pole for race 1. Because from what I've heard from talking with some of the drivers, the dirty area is going to be horrible, and there's going to be quite a lot of train racing, going to be hard to overtake, so qualifying is going to be very, very important here. So yeah, I think the best idea for us right now is to keep a good eye out on it.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been suffering from grid penalties, which we will bring to you in a very short while. But a quick reminder for what has happened to the standings, because with the penalties applied, Lorenzo, it has become very interesting. Christian Glumstead still holds on to the championship lead. Ben Skinner, who is going to be back here for round 10, is going to start his championship charge up to Glumstead on the very back foot. He's 55,217, so he's got quite a big deficit for the Englishman to carry through. 38 points is what he missed over the last 4 races, so he has a monster to climb. Thijs Youngstra will not be here, so he's going to lose it on points. A good chance for Jonas Kerla or Dan Hayek from behind, who are 4th and 5th. Good chances for them to maybe bump up a place to either 3rd or 4th for them respectively. Kasper Kurtz is still not here, so that could be a good chance for Magnus Oganak, who's 10 points adrift. He suffered from a penalty, which we will talk about that later, Lorenzo, how much that has shifted in Fox. And we've got Philip Savinsky and Justin van der Smissen rounding up the top 10. Justin van der Smissen and Craig Patterson both both making their ways up, and you could just slowly see there on the edge. So Van der Smissen not at all safe here in the top 10 place. But a previous mention back to Ockenheim and Glomsetter, the Ockenheim collision with Knox has posed a very interesting dilemma for the constructors, has it, Lorenzo?
It has indeed. Obviously, the driver standings hasn't been affected that hard by the penalty Magnus Ockenheim received, obviously dropping from P5 now down to P12. But where he hasn't suffered in the Drivers' Championship, his team, Fox Esports, has suffered in the team standings, where they had an 11-point gap without the penalties going into Hungaroring today. They're now equal on points with Orbit Motorsports going into this round. And with Ben Skinner back at the wheel at the Bulgarian outfit, it might be a round where Orbit Summit get back onto the summit and jump over Fox. But again, qualifying is going to be really important here. As I said, there's going to be plenty of dirty air. It's going to be very, very hard to overtake. So if everyone just plays it smart in the bars in question here, there might be quite a good battle here for the team standings. And not to mention for the driver standings as well, because with Ben Skinner back now, Christian Glomsetter obviously has got a bit of a gap currently in front of the Englishman. That is a 38-point gap. But with a race win in race 1, for example, and if Christian Glomsetter is to not score points by any just strike of unluckiness, then Ben Skinner narrows the gap down to 8 points in the span of just one race, not even a full round.
So it's going to be all eyes on Ben Skinner to see what he can do capitalize. He hasn't been racing for quite a while, especially missing out the 2 races, so he's going to be a bit cold-footed in the Hungaroring. But if he can get a good qualifying, then the world's his oyster. But also for the Teams Drivers' Championship, we're almost looking at a 3-way. We've seen how Amir, Rise, and Moldova drivers have. They're only 13 points away from the leaders in Fox and Orbit. So there's a very well chance that not only we could not see Fox out just Orbit, but also Emerald to have Hayek and Pischan, who has, I think he has mentioned how much of a strong suit this track has been. So we'll see how well that kind of swings in the American outfit's favor. And again, a 3-way is going to be something we're all going to be looking very forward to. Qualifying is just coming underway. The returning of Ben Skinner, we're on board with him. He's navigated through to the final sector. And as we've said previously before, Lorenzo, a different style of racing here in the Hungaroring with all the improvements. The racing has never really changed in this venue since we first raced back in the 1980s. And I think it's a racetrack quite unlike any other we have here on the calendar.
No, not really. Most things I've heard about the Hungaroring from the drivers have been fairly negative. I think I can quote Dan Hayek on saying that driving Hungaroring this year feels more like a chore than anything else. So the style of driving and the style of racing around this track, as you said, has not changed almost at all since its opening back in the 1980s, I think it is, early 1980s, mid-1980s. But where the cars have changed is, I don't think that the racing is that great, at least in these cars here, in this virtual space we're in currently. And yeah, it's going to be definitely a bit more of a, I wouldn't say laid-back race, but potentially a less eventful race. Again, as I said, qualifying is going to be very important in race 1, and then with race 2 and the reverse grid randomly chosen between P11 and P15 of race 2, it might shake it up a bit, but again, I have my doubts. But as I mentioned, obviously qualifying being very important, Ben Skinner coming back, he's set the fastest 2 sectors at the current moment, Purple Sector 1 and Purple Sector 2. Do you reckon he can stick it on pole and keep it there for the rest of the session, Amir?
I think it's going to be very hard. It's not going to be possible for Skinner to just set 1 lap and call it a day. He'll definitely need an improvement throughout the entire session, but it's a very strong one regardless. But you can already see the improvements around. Corralla already improved. Knox already. Look at that gap. It's already gone to about 600s between Knox and Savinsky. Coralla about 3 whole tenths for himself. Craig Patterson, who was a race 2 winner, is at 4th, and Ben Skinner again on his return. The only best that he could do is 5th. But where is Glomsetter? Glomsetter all the way down in 16th, the championship leader, and he's still dropping. Pablo Mata improves. Vince Eterovic is doing one of his best qualifying performances already in his first run, P15.
But as you said, Amir, it's only the beginning of the session. Ben Skinner obviously is currently in P5, but it's not going to be a one and done thing here. But I mean, look at the gap as we see Mani Cannon cross the line, currently 28th, goes up into P18. But look at the gaps across the table. Only the top 9 are within a second, and everyone behind the top 2 are 3 or more tenths away. So this is really unexpected. I don't think we've seen anything like this so far this season yet, where the top 2 have such a massive margin from themselves to the rest of the grid. And I would be genuinely surprised if this stays until the end of the session, with Knox and Chewinski so far away from everyone else. But that doesn't appear to be the case, as Francesco Grimolizzi, the Italian who's been lighting up the grid so far in the Scottish outfit in McManus, he goes third fastest, but still 1/10 away, just under 2/10 away from Chewinski and Knox.
Mark Salagi here in his home Grand Prix is going to go for across the line, and the Hungarian gets himself up into the top 5. A very, very good, impressive feat there by himself. I think we've just seen Savinski go into the pits, and I think that's Kidali that's broken up into the top 15 as well. Bassani to 16, David DeVries into the top 10 for VMS Sun, and it's a very good, impressive there. What can Matchlik do in this? He's done very good. His back function has been, I think, pretty impressive for Over Motorsport. This is the first time ever that he's kind of come to grips with a strong teammate in the form of Ben Skinner, who's been very consistent at the first half of the season. And this could be a pretty interesting pairing that Orba have got themselves, a very strong pairing if they're going to carry this through to the end of the season. I think time will tell about that, but we'll see what the mint green driver can do through to the final corner. Just hold to the inside line as much as he possibly can. About 3/10 slow on the first sector, 2/10 slow in the second sector. How much slow is it going to be here? It's only about 2/10 for the final sector, and it's only good enough for P13, but Lucas splits between the two Fox Esport drivers. So again, it's kind of the usual suspects. Knox has been always phenomenal in qualifying. Grimolizzi, I think, has been astounding through qualifying ever since he's dropped into McManus. Savinski has done pretty well in second, but again, the sizable gaps is just a very big surprise, Lorenzo.
They are, absolutely, and obviously you mentioned some of the usual suspects, but I wouldn't think really of Christian Glomsetter to be outside of the top 10 in these qualifying sessions. Obviously some of the recent ones have been a bit of a struggle for him, but there you go, you see both of the Fox Esports cars jump up to 9th and 10th at the same exact time. So Christian Glomsetter, where I'd usually expect him to be in the top 10 in qualifying, Magnus Hockenhaug has been a bit of a worse qualifier compared to his teammate this season, but he's now up into the top 10 as well. And yeah, there's some usual suspects around the grid, but there's also some unusual ones. Obviously, Mark Silagi's home Grand Prix, his best qualifying performance this season was last round at Spa, where he qualified 3rd. He is now in 5th again, so he's unlocked something in these last 2 rounds that we've not seen up until now from the Hungarian driver, and that's lovely to see. Mika Löwing, I think this is his best qualifying performance so far as it stands as well, P8 for the Dutchman, so that's lovely to see as well. We've got a debut in the top 15 currently as well, Asier Chiski from Spain, very Basque surname there. He's currently 14th as Lucas Matulik jumps up to P8 in that second orbit, so now the orbits are in 7th and 8th, occupying the 4th row of the grid. And we mentioned that there's going to be some penalties here today. Dan High currently in P15, his teammate in Mateusz Piszczan in that other Emerald Overdrive, he's going to have a back of the grid penalty, as is Riccardo Bissani in the Camera Racing team and Aman Lal in the Elk International. So those 3, I don't think are going to be putting in much effort into their qualifying laps, mostly just giving the car a go on fuel, trying out some race trim tactics or whatever. And yeah, there's already 3 drivers sort of written off.
Oh wow.
But James Knox definitely not written off. Puts another 10th in between himself and Chewinski.
Yeah, Savinski almost looking slightly to improve, but he's gone yellow for the final sector. But Knox managed to get himself a bit of a cushion between himself and Savinski. Really, really close, but he's pushed over to just about over a 10th. Dan Hike into the pits. Emerald Overdrive, their best result currently at the moment is 15th at the moment. And Mateusz all the way down to P21st. He's been pretty good at qualifying when last time we've seen him back in Jeddah. As Pablo Mata, I think, was a bit too wide for the second sector. Roosevelt, Null and Void will probably have to go to the pits as the Spaniard will eye another lap, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I mean, he might go for another lap here, you never know. Yeah, he is going for another lap. I'm assuming he went with enough fuel for 2 laps, and I don't think he's running his tyre that much, at least from what we saw on his onboard currently. So yeah, the Spaniard has had a bit of a rocky start to his FS2 venture. He's done 2 rounds, and I think he's yet to break into the top 20, as Francesco Grimalizzi doesn't have those issues at all. Purple in Sector 1, yellow in Sector 2 though. I don't think he'll be able to overtake Filip Czerwinski, let alone James Knox here on this lap here, Amir.
We'll have to see. Just one final sector. It could be strong enough for Francesco, but a bit too squiggly out through to the final hairpin will rule the Italian of a chance of a higher place. But that is really a true testament for where Francesco can really bring it to the table. We've seen it time again and time again. Ben Skinner breaks into the top 5, displaces Salagi of that position. As Francesco goes to the line, no improvements there at all confirmed there for the McManus Motorsport driver. Just a minus mess falls for his teammate. P13 and 14 for them both respectively, as Luvink is, well, both McKenna Racings are just about into the top 10. I saw an improvement down through to the timing tower, but we were right on board with the Dutch driver. That was Craig Passing, improving up into 4th. He's displaced his teammate, which is very impressive there from the driver from Guernsey, and Micha could be risking of losing at the top 10 unless if he can get this lap done and dusted. Holding onto the curve as much as he possibly can. Only about 700ths of the first sector, 3/10 of the second sector. Just hold in through to the final sector, and we might able to see the McKenna Racing maybe even gain some positions. We'll see. Hold on to the inside line as much as he possibly can with a pretty good exit. Is a bit too wide. We'll have to see through to the final corner. He's doing his best to keep it aiming straight out through the apex. Hits it, and we'll see what Luvin can bring. Is it going to be enough for improvement? It is just about enough for improvement as he jumps Machulik and Davis. It's P8 for himself. As you look over through to Zawinski, is currently on his out lap, and now back over to Chris Davis, who, an endurance racing specialist, is purple the first sector, Lorenzo.
Yeah, that's very surprising from Chris Davis to be purple in Sector 1. I don't think he'll be able to challenge the top 3 per se, but I think if he manages to do well in these last 2 sectors, yellow in Sector 2, and that's by 7.5 tenths. So it's going to be really, really hard to break into the top 5 here for Chris Davis. And yeah, I think he might be just about able to jump over Matulik and Luvink. Potentially Silagi. Now he goes into pit lane. Might have invalidated as well. So he's going to have 1, maybe 2 more laps to improve. And one person who's also trying to improve here, Greg Kennedy, one of 2 debutants here today. Complete unknown to, I think, everyone in this league. Joined about an hour or 2 before the official session began, and somehow managed to land a seat with fellow Scottman McManus Motorsports. So yeah, green sector 1, green sector 2, but he is currently quite far away from most people on the grid. He does improve though, 33.0, and I don't think he's improved in his position though. No, he's still P26 and still 1.6 seconds off of everyone. Mark Silagi, there we go, the home hero, purple in sector 1. Can he maybe do it, Amir?
We'll have to see. He needs to hope for either purple in either of the sectors in order to clinch pole position, but Slag has been pretty strong, way too wide up for the second sector, and that could be the killer race. He's over and done with in the qualifying run. He manages to keep it aiming straight. I'm not quite sure, Lorenzo, if he has time for another run, but that's a very hefty bow there from the Hungarian, who's looking to do very quickly. Speaking of going very quickly, Filip Zawinski has gone very quickly in the first 2 sectors, and just the final few corners left for Zawinski could be enough to displace James Knox of pole position, as Zawinski has done through before. He's held pole position numerous times throughout the season, and a good chance to get some very valuable points and potentially a race win here at Hungaroring. We'll see what Zawinski can do through to the line. It is not going to be enough. 200ths away from Knox, and it blew it all through the final sector. Very unfortunate there from the Polish driver. Knox still's on the pole position, but that margin, Lorenzo, has dwindled significantly.
It has, but it still remained the same from what it was earlier, where the top 2 has just kind of peeled away from everyone else. It was about 3.5 tenths before the gap between the top 2 and the rest of everyone else. Francesco Grimalizzi is the closest to Czerwinski and Knox here, but it's still 2.5 tenths away. So the gaps are quite massive for this round, which is personally surprising because I did not expect this, but I don't know. there's definitely a massive battle for pole position here with Filip Czernycki. We saw he was purple in sector 1 and 2, and then in sector 3 he was green, but he was 800ths off of the purple sector time in sector 3. So I don't know, if he might have just done something a bit different, then it would have been him on pole currently instead of James Knox. And one person is chasing pole, but I don't think he'll get it on this lap per se. Justin van der Smith in P15, green in sector 1, but yellow in sector 2.
To the final corner, it's just almost going, very wide. I think we're very curious about the kind of the track limits around here. Not quite onto the inside line, could be on for something more. We're approaching 30 seconds left to the end of our qualifying session, and time will tell if Knox will still hold on to pole position. He's held it ever since he started, but I think he can kind of feel the breathing down his neck in terms of the challenges that he had to kind of endure from Korala, Patterson, Grimlitzy, and Cervinski. And it's not quite over and done yet, as we see another McKenna Racing driver going purple in the first sector. This time it's Luvink, who's navigated through to the chicane, through to the double S's, through to the left and through to the right. Is he still going to be committed through to the slap? We'll have to wait and see as the checker flag does drop, and that's the end of our qualifying session now. Luvink right down near for this near flat out corner, and it's only going to be green, 3/10 loss, so I don't think Luvink will have enough in him to take pole position away from Knox. Knox has gone into the garage. That's his day over and done with. He cannot improve any more further. 31.385 is what it will stand. Luvink will line on him. He's going to go through to the line. We'll see if Savinski, Grimlitzy, Parson have got any more improvements left in them, but we're looking at for Luvink, green in the middle sector, the purple in the first. Is it going to be a purple in the last sector? It will not be. It will only be yellow, and that will only cement Micha only to 8th. And we'll see for to the rest of Filip Savinski. Again in a similar trait, a bit the opposite though. He's gone, oh my goodness me, yellow in the second sector by nearly 2 seconds. So I think that's his qualified run over and done with. That margin was just so close, Lorenzo. He almost seemed to have had it in his second last run, but unfortunately it's not meant to be. The Polishman goes into the pits, and only be the front row would be the best enough for him. Eric Brina, meanwhile, on him, he's managed to outperform his team at Mani Kantan, and it will only be good enough for P28 for the Hunter Brit simulation driver.
Francesco Grimlitzy unable to improve as well. Mike Shilagi hasn't improved either. There's still 3 drivers who I think can challenge for pole position, though Ben Skinner is very close to crossing the line, I think, as are both of the priority ones. There we go, Ben Skinner, yellow in sector 2 by half a second, and not improving from P6 either, and neither of the priority ones. So I think unless someone pulls out a masterclass out of the bag here in the final lap, then James Knox is well and truly on pole position here.
I think so as well. That's the Val's race done over. I think Yunt and Luvink have called it quits. And I believe Curtis, I don't think, is on a lap as well. So that means that James Knox, for another time running, will take pole position, as there's David Yunt, who's just out for the final corner. His day is truly overdone. But James Knox, the Englishman, takes another pole position upon his return to FS2. It's another home performance engineering pole position as well, Lorenzo. And quite an interesting feat that James Knox has managed to pull here. Filip Savinski from McKenna Racing holds on to another front row start for the team and for himself. Francesco Grimlitzy, again, he's just been so fantastic in terms of qualifying, as he's managed to improve Mass Motorsports qualifying record. Francesco will be in P3. Craig Patterson and Jonas Karola in 4th and 5th respectively. Very strong qualifying result there for Priority 1, as Ben Skinner back like he's never left, although he's still got 5 cars between himself and from the lead. He'll be starting at P6 for Over Motorsports. Mark Salagi almost into the top 5 in his home Grand Prix, but 7 will be the best he can do. Same thing for Luvink and McKenna Racing, but it will only be 8th for him. Christian Globsetzer for Fox Esports, the championship leader, has to start over from 9th, as Lucas Matchlick, who's just about on the edge, as these will be in the top 10 for Motorsports. For the rest of the qualifying session results, it is Chris Davis in P11, with David De Vries for Venus Sunnits in 12th, Magnus Hockenheim for Fox in 13th, with David Junt for Killer Racing in 14th. Just Amanda Smith and completes over through our top 15. Then Amir Hazik for our performance in 16th. The first of the academies is Azir Tixi. You said Basque, so he'll be probably starting in P17 with Dan Hayek. He's the highest placed in the Emeldoran driver. Poor qualifying for himself and Matej Pushchan, 18th and 20th respectively. It's Andrea Canale that squeezes in between those two for Frechenera. P21st will go to Pablo Matta with Corrado Bassani for Camera in 22nd. Anthony Duval is the other Academy driver in 23rd, with Eamon Lal, the first of the Elks, in 24th. Falls through for St. David Travesty Rice in 25th, with Greg Kennedy, the Beam MG usual driver. I think this must be his first time in R-Factor 2, in which case 26 is nothing at all to scoff about. Very good, congratulations to him. Tina Curtis, Falcon International's 27th, Eric Brenner, and Manamani Kanta, the last of the HBSs. It's the Norwegian that outplaces the Indian. Good race. Good qualifying, very good qualifying, but that's not the confirmation of the positions. We will go through that to the starting grid, as you said, Lorenzo. There's going to be quite a hefty number of changes to that, I reckon.
Yeah, there's going to be 3 back of the grid penalties in Ricardo Bassani, Mateusz Piszczan, and Aman Lal. I'm not quite certain in which order they will be placed towards the back of the grid, but those 3 will have a good job on their hands. Oh, not to mention Eric Brenner has a 3-place grid penalty, but I think that gets annulled basically on account of the fact that the trio I mentioned already have back of the grid penalties. We will wait for a confirmation from our race director Chris Williamson on how exactly that will work, but I think those 4 are the only people. No, Tina Curtis also has a 3-place grid penalty, so that is 5 people who have a grid penalty, 3 with a back of the grid and 2 with a 3-place grid penalty. And it's going to shake up the grid a bit for race 1, but that's mostly going to be in the lower midfield and towards the back. So I don't think anything major is going to happen with the grid towards the front and the upper midfield, which, you know, I think is going to bring a bit of excitement to see someone like Mateusz Piszczan try and fight his way from the back, someone like Ricardo Bassani, because I think those 2 are definitely good enough drivers where they can fight their way up from a back of the grid penalty up all the way into the points, at least top 15. Especially if they get lucky. There we go, Chris Williamson confirming the back of the field group will be ordered based on qualifying position, meaning that Mateusz Piszczan qualifying in P20 in front of Ricardo Bassani, and then Aman Lal will be starting in front of those 2 as well. And then I'm assuming that based on qualifying position as well, it will be Eric Brenner right in front of Mateusz Piszczan, and then Tina Curtis in front of Eric Brenner. So that's going to be interesting towards the back, but I think our eyes should firmly be placed towards the front, as Christian Glomsetter qualifying P9, Ben Skinner in P6, not to mention Christian Glomsetter having Lucas Matulik in the other orbit right behind him as well, and Magnus Ockenhag a bit further behind P13, so not unable to fully help him on the opening lap, lest he makes a very ambitious dive bomb and makes us stick into turn 1. So a lot to think about if you deep it.
I think the big surprise was, like, honestly, because we've seen how good Emerald Overdrive have been. They've been, quite phenomenal since the Pang, but I almost feel like this has been kind of a momentum halt on their end. I mean, none of their drivers have got, I think, broke into the top 15. Hayek and
absolutely. Dan Hayek being in 17th is definitely a surprise, and I think he can. I think both of the Emerald Overdrives can break into the points by the halfway point. Well, I know Dan Hayek will definitely have an easier job of getting into the points by the halfway point of the race. Mateusz Piszczan a bit of a harder job, but I still think he can do it by the end of the race at least. And I think Emerald Overdrive, it's not going to be as big of a points haul as it usually has been for them in these past couple of rounds, but I still think they can achieve it.
Yeah, it's very frustrating because they've done very good qualifying before in the past, but I think the Hungaroring is definitely the one where if you have a bad qualifying session, it is going to it's a track that heavily infects you, unlike all the other tracks that we've been to. It's the one that's going to really heavily impact your, not only just your race results, but also who you'll be stuck with more than other races as well. I think sometimes it's a pang if you start not very good. It's quite easy to get up because of how wide it is and how good overtake opportunities there is, for example. But on Hungaroring, there's only really maybe one proper overtaking opportunity, maybe 2 if you're lucky. Turn 1 is by far the easiest one, and you can maybe risk it into 4.25 if you want to. But again, just there's like one real proper overtaking opportunity, and then from the rest of that lap, you're effectively just behind, or you have to be behind the car trying to like not lose them through the dirty air. And again, that's going to be quite an interesting thing that we'll witness. I think even though we've got, I think the track has changed, right? We've got another DRS up straight, I believe.
Not sure. Genuinely.
Yeah, I don't remember either, so I may well have to
I
see.
think there's only one on the main straight and after turn 1. If there's been another one, that's news to me.
Look, just realized the regulations have changed to version 1.2. Nice, interesting. I think you might be right. It could be just one. And if it's
No,
just
wouldn't
one,
it be
it's
two?
the one between
It's 2 in Hungary.
Is it 2?
It's on the main
thought
straight
it was
and after
one.
turn 1.
Oh right, that small one. I first drove like GPVWC Academy like last year. I think I might have forgotten about that small DRS between turns 1 and 2. Really, that's so small.
I mean, I'm not part of who decides where the DRS goes.
No, I know it's we might need to do a bit of we're not stat guys, but if someone could possibly give us a calculator, we could maybe calculate what is the shortest DRS. What's the shortest DRS straight in GPVWC this calendar season? I think that might be the winner, right?
I am not sure, but mentioning the calendar, could we please have the calendar put up, Fabian, to see what goes on after Hungary?
We'll get the calendar in a very short moment. As again,
I think
we're
Fabian hasn't heard me. Yeah, can we have the calendar, Fabian, please? Thank you. There we go. Okay. So after Hungary, it is another 2 weeks until the German Grand Prix on August 4th at the Hockenheimring, as opposed to the Nürburgring last season, and then we go on to a summer break until September 1st, when we go to Italy and Monza. Following that is the United States Grand Prix over at Oates, which is a change from last year where it was Indianapolis road course, and then Singapore September 29th, Abu Dhabi October 13th, and to close off the season on October 27th, Brazil at Interlagos. And I've said this many times before, not on stream, but I am so glad that Interlagos is back as the season finale.
I mean, well, I'm not gonna say to be honest, because I think it's Interlagos has always been a fantastic finale wherever we go. Abu Dhabi, for the trial that we had last year, was a pretty decent like finale ender. I think it kind of exceeded it certainly exceeded my expectations, and probably a lot of the drivers and a lot of the team owners and fans as well. But there's something quite right with having a track as nice and flowing as Interlagos hosting the last race of the season as a last hurrah. I think it's always been like a very good. And Abu Dhabi, I think, kind of slots kind of perfectly into the slot it is, as being like the penultimate round before the final round. It kind of gives that last challenge, but I think it still holds a bit of that theatrics. And again, we're kind of going into, I think, quite a nice finale ender, if you agree or disagree. I think we've gone something very quick in terms of the Monza, and then we've got Kota, which is quite variable. There's no real strong suit in Kota. Singapore is really corner heavy. It's our last proper street circuit. And then Abu Dhabi, again, a little bit flexible. It's gone a little bit more downforce heavy in the years, but still fun. And then we go over to a nice balance in the form of Interlagos, which is, again, very nice. So we've got a nice stretch of 5 races to the end of the season, especially after our Hockenheimring appearance, which will be our final race before our long-awaited summer break until we kick off in September.
And if I recall correctly, Singapore last season was the last wet weather round in Formula Sprint 2. That was full wet weather, so qualifying and race 1 and race 2. So, you know, it will be interesting to see whether we get any one of those in the remaining rounds, because you can see the clouds, you know, doing their thing above Hungary right now, but I don't think there's going to be any rain, because it's just, I don't think so. I don't think there's been any rain forecasted for today's round, but you never know for the rest of the season. I think a wet weather round or two might bring a certain dosage of spice to it all.
So, well, I think it brings like a very, very hefty like unpredictability, but I'm not quite sure how it is going to be in Budapest at the moment. I think we might be able to, if there is that chance, it'll certainly be a very, very big surprise, but I think time will tell. I'll bring out the forecast now. In fact, we're at the end of the formation lap, which means I didn't even get to do my usual shebang, which was checking the websites and whatnot. I've heard that they've done incredibly impressive with the rebranding that they've done, as you can see in the live pictures that they've had. Budapest is saying it's going to be, doesn't seem to be any rain. Actually, I can do that real quick. Hungaroring. Like the Hungaroring, I think it must have done the quickest rebrand change ever in the history. Like, it used to be changing for one thing and then changes for the other. If any of you watch movies, the Hungaroring is often a very famous movie venue for those stuff. It hosted the Gran Turismo movie when it was a venue used for Le Mans, and it was also in the F1 movie, which was used for, well, Hungary. In that it was a very interesting movie, I must say, both regardless. But
Never watched.
let's have a look at the website.
Actually, you know, on the topic of the F1 movie before the warm-up ends, which I think it already has, so never mind. I've never watched the F1 movie, and I don't really understand the hype for it either. But I think
Did you
just me though.
Did
No,
you
I've not watched
watch
it. I didn't watch it. I don't get the hype for it either. I just don't feel like it appeals to me, you know?
Damn. Ed, what do you think about that?
Why are we asking Ed? He's not here with us.
He's in
Fabian,
the
though.
chat.
Fabian, what do you think? Have you watched the F1 movie, Fabian? No, Fabian says no either. So I'll win. I don't know what I win, but I do.
Okay, you apparently win. Ed's not responding to my message, which is a shame. I thought he would. I thought he would say comments about you watching the F1 movie or not, or opinions. But oh well. If you want to chat to us, feel free to join our Discord. If you want to get involved in any sort of particular racing ways, feel free to join our Canopy series. We're going over to Tor Pushan, which is a couple of kilometers away from the Hungaroring, which is a very nice treat for us all. We'll be there on Monday. You, Lorenzo, will also be there. 21 laps are ready here for the 10th round of the Formula Sprint 2 Championship. But that just give us a very short while, and we'll be back over to the grid. And we're back for live pictures. Welcome back, everyone, to the Hungaroring. Lorenzo once again alongside with me. We've got our penalties applied. The grid is starting to form. I know I often tell you about these predictions before the start of the formation lap, but do you really have any predictions for yourself? Are we going to see the same? Are we going to see the pole sitter go right on to win the race? Is the more important question.
I would genuinely not be surprised if that happens. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be many position changes unless there's going to be massive incidents. But I think more or less, I've got a good feeling there's going to be a bit of a procession in race 1. Hopefully I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. But something tells me that I might not be, sadly.
The formation lap has begun on the way. James Knox has got himself another pole position, which means that he'll be starting at P1 for today. Philip Savinsky joins alongside to complete for the front row. Another front row for McKenna Racing. Francesco Grimlitzi, another P3 for him. It'll be P3 for McManus, and it's Craig Patterson. One of his best qualifier performances is P4 for Priority 1. Following through behind is teammate Jonas Karla in 5th. Ben Skinner upon his return is 6th for Orbit. Mark Zalagi is 7th, and Luvic for McKenna is in 8th. Coming over through to the 5th row, we have got P9 and Christian Globson, the championship leader. Follows for Lucas Matchlik, our recent race winner for Orbit in 10th. Chris Davis for Chimera is 11th, with David De Vries for VMS Sunheads is in 12th. P13 goes to Magnus Ockenhag for Fox Esports, falls through with David Jump for Kriller Racing in 14th. Justin Van Smithson completes for our top 15. Amir Hazik completes for row 8. Coming over through to P17, Asia Tiski for the Academy is 17th. Dan Hayek is 18th for Emerald Overdrive. And Drake Kinalia for Frechenera is 19th, with Pablo Matia rounding off our top 20. Penalty, Anthony Duval for Academy is P21st. Mahalo Vicentevich is P22nd. Greg Kennedy from McMahon's Motorsports, a debutant, P23 for him, and Amanda Manikanda in P24. Tina Kerr's 3-place grid penalty into P25th, falls with Eric Brenner, a 3-place grid penalty in P26th. Mateusz Prishkan in P27, Ricardo Bassani also has penalties. So has Eamon Lau, all back of the grid, but Eamon Lau will be starting last based on the qualifying positions. 29 cars, we're just 3 shy of our complete grid. We've missed a couple of the ones of the Freccioneras. We're missing, I think, another one. One of the Mates VOs, and we're missing
one of the ST Racings. Hansko Mebius is not here.
And has Kamibis, so that's our 3 cars missing for today, so not quite a complete grid, but still enough to produce some exciting racing regardless. As Eamon Lau rounds up through to the final corner, is it going to be, I think it should be short enough that he will just about start in as straight as position. He's going to aim it as much as straight as he possibly can, and just to mitigate that, we're going to wait for the lights to come on for 21 laps here at the Hungarian Grand Prix. The 5 lights are out and we're underway. Better start there from Savinsky. He's actually jumped Knox through to the lead, but Knox is going to do his absolute best to defend as they're going to go wheel to wheel, and Savinsky will hold on to the inside line. Knox is going to look for the outside, hoping to get better speed, but Savinsky thinks better of it, still holds on to the inside line, punches him out the way, and as Knox, the pole center, drops down to 2nd. Grimlitzi tries his best to make an eye for it, as we've already got a yellow flag in the 1st sector. As we navigate through to the 2nd corner, it is Savinsky that leads. Knox in 2nd. Grimlitzi throwing a bit of contact there between Skinner and Kerala, and still gonna go side by side. The excellent contact from the back. That is one of the Killer Racing, and it's absolutely pandemonium going for the back. Massive carnage damage. We've already witnessed 3 cars gone out, and then we're gonna see a bit of navigation. Oh goodness me, the Hunterbird simulation off into the grass does manage to get unscathed, but already we have seen 3 cars retired in that span of just 4 corners, Lorenzo.
Oh, you really have to think what was going on through the minds of the people going on through there. Max Lagis had a race. Dan Heikers had a front wing. Amir Hazik has been affected as well. I think Mihalovic and Tjevic was affected at the beginning of the race in turn 1, as that's Francesco Grimlitzi understeering massively out of turn 11 there and losing time on James Knox in front. It might have been due to the dirty air as well. As you can see, that's Jonas Karola behind as well, being affected by dirty air. Very, very loose out of turn 12. Again, the dirty air here is hampering the drivers so much, and again, Philip Chowinski did well to get a better start than James Knox and get out in front, because now, I mean, his only job here is to defend, and I think Philip Chowinski can defend very, very well, unless he gets unfortunate yet again and his internet just conks out on him like he has recently, sadly.
Yeah, we'll hope it won't be the case for Savinsky. He's an incredible racer, especially in the FS2 scape. Again, got his race win in Suzuka and has got a 2nd race win at Silverstone. Hayek and Hazika all into the pits. Salagi, the home driver, unfortunately our first retirement. So it's very lucky that we've only just got one retirement from that collision at the exit of turn 5, as David Junt now seems to be the sole Killer Racing within the points. He's going to try his best to make his way past the VMS car, but unable to do so. We'll have to worry about the car of Tiski behind. Chris Davis has dropped over to 14th. Anthony Duval has gained a place to P15, as that was Kinalia on the exit out of turn 6, almost trying to make an overtake, but couldn't quite get his nose in, and has to stay behind a bit for the time being. Still, Savinsky first, Knox 2nd, Grimlitzi in 3rd. We've already seen a lean change in the first lap. The question is whether if it can be close enough for Nox to even manage a response. Time will certainly tell, and again, this is the track where overtakes are really going to be hard fought, Lorenzo. We're going to see a big quantity of overtakes as there's the academy driver of Deval making his way past on to Davis, but he's unable to do so, and in fact could be losing a position as Kinalia tries through the penultimate corner, tries to get ahead. Deval is still holding in side by side, wheel to wheel, and unfortunately Deval couldn't hold it in enough, and we'll have to slot in behind for the time being. Savinsky already holds on to a personal best, but Nox is closing in about 2/10 already. We're looking over for Deval. They will both have the DRS and the slipstream to their available, and it's Deval that will have the slipstream with Davis side by side, wheel to wheel. Bit of contact though as that pushes Deval just ever so slightly off. He joins back in the racing surface, still on to P16. He's barging out through Pischan, who's making his way through, down for the inside for the turn 3 as Canali goes a little bit wide. He's looking for the inside through turn 4. Bit of contact between these two again, and they have to go back into a single file line. Are we going to see any audacious move into turn 5? Time will tell as we navigate for the Pischan. Almost looks for it, but unable. Still up 3 out of 21, and that was a little bit of wheel banging racing, but still pretty interesting nonetheless, Lorenzo.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think both drivers were lucky that nothing serious happened there, as a lot of wheel spin, loses the rear, nearly Anton Deval there, and that's going to allow Mateusz Pischan, although it's a very high downforce section, is going to affect him a lot of the DTA sitting behind Anton Deval, but I think, if he keeps doing things like that, Mateusz Pischan is going to pass him with fairly little resistance. There we go, I finally remember how to speak English. But yeah, I mean, we can see the two VMS unedits in P10 and 11 working together. Van der Smith and Vreed have been changing positions around a couple of times already. Philip Chawinski and James Knox. Philip Chawinski has set the fastest lap of the race for 2 laps in a row now. And James Knox, although he's not losing time, is not gaining time either. It's been swinging between 4.5 and 5/10, the gap between them. And James Knox is going to have to work hard to get back in front of the Polish driver here.
You see that sweet spot. Savinsky as well doesn't need to really attack the corners as much as Knox does in order to really maintain that gap. So I think this is kind of strategic what we're seeing from Savinsky. Holds it into the tires as much as he possibly can. That was, I think, a position change between Canali and Pischan, P15 and 16 for them exchanging. As we see Savinsky a little bit to the gravel shot, but still no harm done at all for the Polish driver, as he will still lead over for that is Deval. That's very swiggly on the exit of turn 5 as we approach through to the second sector. Again, a little bit wheels onto the gravel trap again, but no positions lost as Bassani almost eyeing a position opening. Couldn't quite get Deval to make a big enough mistake for that, and it will still be Pischan holding on to 16th, to Deval 17th, and Bassani in 18th. So again, very, very interesting battles that we're seeing here, and again, it's just this prolonged battles. They both go very, very wide. And that is extremely, extremely wide. You can already see the struggle though as Bassani holds it in through, and it couldn't quite make a job done. And that was contact from Kennedy. And unfortunately, the debutant out without a front wing. Didn't quite. I think that must have become a shock, Lorenzo, for him.
Yeah, I mean, he could have done better to avoid Riccardo Bassani there. Both Bassani and Kennedy now do the front wing. So that means both of them are going to fall all the way down. I was about to say Riccardo Bassani, he was in P18, and one of the people I said can come back into the points by the end of race 1 from a back of the grid penalty, and now it's going to be a lot harder for the Italian driver after that, and it was a driver error as well, so he got nobody to blame but himself for that. And again, Greg Kennedy could have done better to avoid him, but no point running away spilled milk, sorry. As Christian Glomsetter is eyeing the back of Craig Patterson. Dear God, something is going very wrong with my vocabulary today. And again, he's entering sector 2 here. It's going to be very, very hard to overtake through here. But if you man, that's Ben Skinner in front, going wide out of the chicane of 6 and 7 and onto the grass, and it's going to slow him down as well.
Yeah, that's kind of a momentum halt there for him. And this could potentially pay huge dividends in our later stages. There is Glomsetter going wide on his charge against Craig Patterson, who again started in P4. He's dropped 2 positions at the start. Carala and actually Corral and Patterson both exchanged positions, so almost, I think. So Venskier definitely sandwiched in between the two priority ones, but he's doing his best to kind of reach that gap to what Jonas is doing, but he's only 2.2 seconds, so he needs to have a very, very big size. 21 laps, my goodness. So we're looking up for a head between the two white cars. One is orange and the other one is purple between Savinsky and Knox, and Knox has managed to find a way to claw his time back up, and he's got a very good opportunity with the DRS in hand. Could eye for a move into turn 2. He almost looks for it, but couldn't quite get it done. He knows he might have a better opportunity in a later stage, and Savinsky doing really, really well to defend that, as it will still be Savinsky leading, but Knox is now breathing down Savinsky's neck, and Savinsky has got some thinking to do in how he wants to defend Lorenzo.
Yeah, Knox was never going to be close enough to attack into turns 2 and 3 there, and I think, as you said already, he knows that he's got a better chance later on, as Christian Glomset is falling. Christian Glomset has done a mistake into turn 4, so something has happened to the Norwegian, and I'm curious to see what exactly happened to the Norwegian. If we can get a replay on, was there contact? Because I think the gap was, oh, it might have been contact, as there's still yellow flags going on as we're looking at this replay. Was it just a driver error, or just too much curb and lose at the rear end?
Oh my goodness me! Oh goodness me, that could have been really, really championship altering for Fox Esports if they made a collision at that extent. That is impressive there from Arkanav for the amazing quick time reactions to really avoid that. This is what also happened further back between Duval, who's already seems to have struggled with the steering prior to coming into turn 5. Oh god, that is, yeah, you can already see it's bent, I think, already. That is very erratic steering there from Duval. I wonder if that might be a hardware issue.
He pulls over and retires, so it might just be damage, or it might as... Oh, this is something that has just happened. It is James Knox trying to attack Filip Chawinski into turn 1. Does he make the move? We see that he's currently in P2, so he might have made the move and then lost the position back. There was an overtake attempt into turn 1, going down into turn 2 now, so nothing happened really there. But it was definitely a good overtaking opportunity by James Knox, and he's getting closer and closer to the Polish driver and back to that P1.
Certainly a move there by Knox, and again Savinsky doing really well to defend to stall the lead. But again, we've had this dilemma many times, Lorenzo, about how the more that you fight, the more that you're going to invite other people into the party. As we see, Craig Passon is the one that's dropping over. He's dropping down to 12th, 13th, even further. And what has happened to the party? Well, he's lost his front wing, and it's a very difficult position that he has to try and rejoin, as going to push the Priority 1 driver all the way back, which is a big shame. The last year's Race 2 winner, who qualified in P4, is now out of the points, Lorenzo.
Yeah, what's happened to Craig Patterson there? Because I don't think he was close enough to make any contact with anyone else. It might have just been a mistake on par to what happened with Christian Glomset, where he just took too much curb, lost the rear end and spun across the track. Yeah, it looks like that was the case. Oh, it was, he went over the grass as well. Let's save that, and you have to feel bad for Craig Patterson, but I don't think his race is over just yet. He's made his way back to pit lane, I think, put on a fresh new front wing, and well, now Tom will tell him whether he'll be able to gain any more position. He's down in P22, I think that was, so well outside the points, but you never know what can happen. It's only lap 8 of 21 still.
Knox has been doing very well to follow through behind Savinsky for as long as he done. Lap 8 of 21. You can also see Grimlitzy just in the background also kind of lurching into this, and for how long that Savinsky to defend Knox, we could see Corrala get into this, and the more people that are involved in this fight, the more it kind of benefits Savinsky, because he knows that Knox and Grimlitzy cannot afford to take much risk, or they'll risk losing even more positions than really just staying in the position that they are. So again, this is all eyeing up even better for the Polish driver, as again he's just been very good whenever he takes charge of the lead. He controls just like he's one of the best ever like race controls probably in Formula Sprint 2, and he's dictated the race from Knox and Grimlitzy to his pace for how he wants it, and Knox is going to try and switch it towards his favor for how he wants it. And again, you can see that Savinski holding on to, just holding a little bit of a weave, which is just going to be enough to displace Nox from making an attack into turn 1. He's going to try and dummy Savinski, but Savinski I don't think is going to budge one bit, still falls through to the racing line, and that's really all the Polish driver really needs to do. And again, that deficit is so big that I don't think Nox will have a move to make into turn 2. And again, that's just how Savinski detects the pace.
Yeah, and Chawinski knows well enough that he's got the prime position here for leading the race. He's got plenty of clear air in front of him. Nox and Grimolizzi on a track that's hampered, again, as I said earlier, by dirty air a lot. They're going to waste their tyres away trying to get back in front of him. And if they aren't able to do that in due time, then Chawinski is going to be able to just put the pressure, put the throttle down, and just peel away towards the end of the race and towards the third of the race really, and just get away from them. As you see now already, the gap's gone from, it was what, 4 or 5 tenths now to 7. So I think James Nox now is just outside of Philip Chawinski's DRS range as well, which is detrimental for the Englishman's charge to the win. He seems to have crept back in ever so slightly, but I think he's still just about outside, and I don't think he'll have DRS going onto the main straight, although I think he just about does, yes.
He does, and that will be activated for him. You can already see that he is struggling a little bit more in the steering-wise than Savinski is up ahead. But Savinski did go just a little bit wide on the track in the second sector. So again, just the drivers need to be very, very careful, especially with the dirty air, to limit how much they track extend. You are allowed to track extend, but just only a set number amount of times, and you can't have like too much of an advantage. I think here it's manual track limits. I think, I'm not quite sure, but we'll see here. James Nox all over the back for Savinski, and just doing his best to follow through. I think Savinski does have that advantage in the second and the start of the third sector, so we can maybe see Savinski pushing his tires a little bit much though, but that was very heavy on the curb though, and that could maybe sway towards Nox's favor in this sector, especially where Savinski thought that he had the leverage. Maybe Nox might have a better opportunity here, Lorenzo, after that mistake.
Might indeed, but he's tried an overtake already and goes wide out of turn 11 there, so everything he's gained, he's lost a bit of it already, back down to 5 tenths where he was 4 tenths, and goes onto the gravel out of turn 12 there. So that's going to affect his gap as well. It might be 6 tenths now going onto the main straight between Nox and Chawinski, and Grimolizzi as well, who is not far from James Nox, is not capitalizing on the mistakes that Nox and Chawinski are making. He's just been stuck constantly around 7 or 8 tenths away behind James Nox, seemingly content just sitting a bit further behind, waiting for Nox to waste his tires away, trying to catch Chawinski, or maybe counting on Nox to overtake Chawinski, and then they waste their tires away battling each other, and then he can just swoop in and take it on his own without any resistance. But it doesn't seem to be working for him so far, because Nox is struggling a lot to get back in first in front of Chawinski. But Christian Glomset, doesn't seem to have any issues making overtakes. He's battling with David Junt here for P10. They're side by side going uphill into turn 4. I think Glomset is going to have to yield here, and he does, but Junt sails wide. They're still going to go side by side into the hairpin, that is turn 5, but David Junt keeps the inside line and he stays still in P10. Asher Chiski, the debutant for the academy team, right there as well in P12. A very good job so far from the Spaniard. Maybe he can throw his hat into the ring here as well.
I think so as well. That's just the showcase of what happens going side by side, really bundles everyone together. So now I think it's going to be interesting to see how Glomsetter can make his way past David Junt now with a charging academy driver through behind him. He's done very well, Tiski, to hold on to that point scoring position, and he's done a very good qualifying as well. So, but now he's kind of amidst in through a snake of his own. We're just approaching 10 laps left to go. And through to the final corner, it will still hold for Junt leading with Glomsetter in P11 in that trade. Well, looking back up, looking forward ahead, Savinski still holds on to the lead to Knox, and again, Knox with the DRS is going to look for it to the inside, but the thing about Savinski that you always see approaching for the penultimate corner through to the turn 2 is that he always aims for a late apex, and James Knox is hugging the corner as much as he possibly can. So again, we know that Savinski is definitely saving his tires, but he's also eyeing for a higher top speed for that defense against James as well.
Yeah, but I don't know. I said leading up to the race during formation lap, it might be a bit of a procession here, and I wouldn't be surprised if the pole position sitter wins the race. It doesn't look like it will be unless Filip Czawinski does get past or makes a mistake of his own, which results in him falling down the order. But it's still a bit of a procession here. The top 3 have peeled away from everyone else. We saw a 5-car train from P10 down to P14. It seems like there's a lot of train racing, and the DTA is just not allowing anyone else to get into the head of the locomotive in those trains.
Yeah, it's quite hard. It's the characteristics. It's undoubtedly Hungaroring is what it is. It's kind of bringing a bit of that old-fashioned racing, kind of reminiscent of the old F1 times. Where overtakes it.
Oh!
James Knox right to the inside of turn 1. He's taking his opportunity, but Savinski immediately does the switch back, and he knows he has this race under control. He's taking the lead, but Knox very, very close now with the DRS. Is going to try maybe something to turn 2. He's not close, Lorenzo, but that was our first proper opportunity that Knox had against Savinski. Of course, it was Savinski still had the advantage regardless, but that's quite a statement there by James, though.
It is, absolutely, and even though he didn't make the position stick, he definitely gave Filip Czawinski a scare there and let him know, I'm still here, you're still not safe. And Filip Czawinski, although he's got the race under his control, he's definitely got a lot to think about now. He has to, lock in, as you would say on the internet, and minimize any mistakes he could make to not allow James Knox to make a move like that again. And we were talking about trains a bit earlier. Christian Glom said he's gotten past David Junt and kept the position. Mateusz Pishan's gotten past Chris Davis as well. So there's been a couple of changes in that train towards the back as well. And I think the main train we should focus on is the top 3 here as we approach the main straight. James Knox 3/10 away, just 3.5, just under 4. He might try another move here, Amir.
Savinski immediately senses that pressure from Knox. He's immediately got defensive hugging into the inside line. Knox can only go on the outside, and he is going to go for the outside line. And still side by side, similar to what we've seen the lap previous, but ends much, much quicker though. Savinski pushes Knox a little bit out, and it is still Savinski holding on for to lead. That is a yellow in the second sector. We'll see who that is, but Savinski still leads.
He does indeed, and as you said, Filip Czawinski sensed immediately what James Knox is going to do. He tried to take the outside line, but Filip Czawinski, very, very good defense to turn 1, and he also nullified James Knox's attempt to overtake him into turn 2 as well. So again, masterful defense from the Polish driver there, but still not clear of the threat with 8 laps to go now.
Savinski very heavy on the curve. That could have been an absolute scare. I thought he was going to go off, but yeah, that was a big surprise there from my end. I think it might have scared Savinski a little bit off too as he goes a little bit wide, and my goodness me, he was very lucky he managed to keep the car in control after that curb hit. Otherwise it would have been curtains there for the Polish driver, not only just for the lead but maybe potentially the race. My goodness me, I'm not sure if that was an overreaction or not, Lorenzo, but I do apologize for the viewers for the scare.
Time will tell, as we see David Junt, who was P11, is now falling out to P14, so something must have happened to the Swiss driver to cause such a massive drop in positions, and I think we might take a look at that after we see what's going to happen here. Filip Czawinski is going to defend from James Knox yet again. James Knox goes down to the inside, he's too far back going into turn 1 to attack. He might be closer going into turn 2, but I still don't think he'll be able to make a move and make it stick as well. Francesco Grimalizzi though is sitting back a bit further behind, slowly rubbing his hands because James Knox is wasting his tyres away. I think Filip Czawinski It might not look like it to us, but I think he's slowly starting to pick the pace up as well and waste his tyres away to stay in front of James Knox. And again, Francesco Grimolizzi, if this continues, he might benefit greatly from it.
Like it really, really does. He's the big beneficiary of this. All Knox is doing kind of almost all his dirty work. And if there's going to be a big battle between these two that prolongs more than one corner, then you know that Grimolizzi is going to be a big beneficiary to this. He's got the tires and he's got the willpower to maybe take advantage of this and maybe get his first race win of the season. He was denied that opportunity previously at Spa. But he's got a very good clean opportunity. And again, a very big gap between Grimolizzi and Corrala, 1.9 seconds between third and fourth. So Francesco, again, has a bigger advantage than what Knox has done in terms of, you know, biting out of Sawinski's lead. But I think Knox sort of knows this and knows that any, like, gap that he has that's just about, like, maybe double, he can maybe take an advantage of that just a little bit. Like now, he'll have the DRS in hand, but it's just way too far back, Lorenzo, to really make any sizable move in. He can maybe go for an outrageous move like we've seen many laps ago, but he does think better. He knows he's got tires to look after.
He does, and one driver who, I mean, we've just talked about it, Francesco Grimolizzi. Oh, James Knox thought of a move into turn 2 there, but was too far back to try and make it stick. He sits behind Filip Czawinski still, and what I was going to say is, Francesco Grimolizzi, we've been talking about him for a bit. Oh, James Knox!
Words! Yeah, both Knox and Sawinski really heavy on that curb, and they both had very different reactions to it. Sawinski barely just kept it onto the track, whereas Knox had no choice but to use the extended runoff. And that maybe is showing Lorenzo that the tyres could be going. Apologies for the interruption, what were you saying?
I said exactly what I was going to say. Their tyres might be going now. Filip Czawinski seems to be peeling away after that exclusion of the track into turn 4 by James Knox. And I was going to say Francesco Grimolizzi has closed the gap down quite a bit on James Knox in that lap, but now he's fallen behind a bit as well. He seems to be playing a bit of cat and mouse maybe with James Knox here and Filip Czawinski, because he closed the gap down to James Knox to 3 tenths. Now he's back to 5 tenths behind. James Knox has caught what he lost on Filip Czawinski, and he might try and make a move here again as we enter lap 17, 5 laps to go. He is too far back yet again to make a move into turn 1. No. He's not going to make it. He might think of another move into turn 2 though again, Amir.
Yeah, he definitely will, and I think he kind of sees the iron into turn 2. Is it going to be close enough to make the move? It could be outrageous. He tries his best to make a nose into it, but again, Sawinski just follows through the race line that he's done a couple of laps prior and just knows that it's a defense strategy that works. And 5 laps to go. I think we kind of starting to see the pressure kind of mounting on both their ends, because Sawinski is thinking how much more he could defend from Knox. Knox is thinking about how much more he can attack, and that leverage, dare I say, Lorenzo, kind of sways a little bit to Grimolizzi, who's got nothing to lose in this battle.
Well, I wouldn't go damn fast to say he has nothing to lose, because Jonas Karola, I mean, he's still quite a distance away from the top 3 here, but I think he's lowered the gap from what was nearly 3 seconds to now just about over 1.5. So
Ooh.
While they're battling here in the top 3, Czawinski wasting his tyres, staying in front of Knox. Knox wasting his tyres to get in front of Czawinski, and Grimolizzi is a bit less, but still wasting his tyres to keep up with them, so he can pounce on any mistake or loss of grip that the two in front of him have. Jonas Karola has been doing his own thing, and he's closing in on them ever so slowly, as we saw James Knox and Filip Czawinski there be a bit swervy, and Filip Czawinski defending the inside here into turn 1. James Knox moves to the outside. They're going to be going side by side through turn 1. Filip Czawinski yet again does the same defense he did early on in the race, closes the outside line, now closes the inside line yet again, going into turn 2. James Knox very close to contact there between the two of them, but Filip Czawinski still keeps P1. James Knox still very close behind, but I don't think he'll be able to make a move here, Amir, now.
Field defense there by Savinski. He's done really, really well. Take a deviation away from the racing line. You can use the racing surface as much as you want in your defense, and Philip knows this and is capitalizing this way to his advantage. That was one of Nox's best opportunities that we've seen, but Nox could be eyeing for something further. Again, the battle that we've seen now has prolonged maybe 3-4 corners, and Grimlitzy is actually closing up to Nox. So Nox will not only have to worry about Savinski proper, but now Grimlitzy is inserting himself into the picture, Lorenzo.
He is, and again, I brought up Jonas Carroll a bit earlier. The gap is now, it was 1.7 seconds before, now it's 1.4, dropping to 1.3 tenths. He might run out of time, we're still not sure, but if this continues, I think Jonas Carroll might throw himself into the picture here as well. So I wouldn't exclude a four-way fight for the lead here, as Filip Czawinski looked to take a bit of a wider line on entry into the final corner and allow James Knox to get a bit closer to him, but Francisco Grimlitzy is right there as well. Jonas Carroll is still creeping a bit further behind. He's not going to be a threat here right now. James Knox looks to the inside for turn 1. He's too far back yet again. He's not going to make a move. He's not going to make a stick either. Maybe into turn 2 though.
Trying to scare, I think, Savinski again, but Savinski has not been deterred whatsoever. Through to turn 2 we go, and Nox is still far back from Savinski, but the leverage is kind of a bit towards Grimlitzy that he has to worry about. But Grimlitzy weirdly we've not seen him made any moves, so he could be eyeing a bit back and hope that Nox and Savinski come to battle once again. Nox sideways, very sideways on the exit, but manages to keep the car under control. How does he do it?
Oh, he's just skilled. There's no other way to say it. James Knox is just skilled, I mean. But he's done that 1 or 2 times early in the race already, and he's running on borrowed time, really, James Knox is, with how he's taking some of the curves and how he's managing his tyres. And it looks a bit of like a procession, but it's more of a matter of who's going to make the first move, and who's going to be able to make the first move, really. We've talked about the nature of Hungary this entire race and qualifying and warm-up. So again, I do wonder how this will pan out.
Through to the final corner, Nox is, I think, kind of realizing that Savinski is getting his 1 foot onto the podium here, but he's got a chance to maybe deny Savinski of the winner's trophy. Savinski already snaking around for the entire track as we're approaching 2 laps left to go. That's 2 more attempts that Nox has left to make, and he's not going to be close enough to make a move here, so he's maybe eyed his fruits all the way to the final lap. But we'll have to see if that is ever going to materialize for the Englishman. He has to be close enough through the second and final sector in order to materialize such a move. He's going to ensure that Grimlitzy will stay behind, and just hopefully that Grimlitzy is far enough that Nox can make a move. So all this is going to be a really big question mark, as Savinski can sort of start to see his tires already starting to waver through turn 4. He has to take a little bit of the extra road in hand, but he will still lead as we approach over through the chicane. So all eyes on Nox and Savinski to see who will be the Hungary Grand Prix race winner.
Oh, Francisco Grimlitzy is still in that picture, Amir. Don't forget that. Jonas Carroll, I said he might run out of time, and I think he well and truly has. He is 1.2 seconds behind them, but we're going to enter the final lap here now. So I think Jonas Carroll is out of the picture. James Knox, I mean, the gap was 3 tenths, now it's 4 tenths. Same with Grimlitzy and Knox. It's now 5 tenths, and there's yellow flags in sector 2. We're not quite sure what's happening. And it's Andrea Kinaya falling away. So the sole freshenera, something has happened to him. But we're too busy with what's happening in the front to see what exactly happened to the Italian towards the lower midfield. And James Knox too far away yet again to make a move into turn 1, unless he makes a very, very desperate lunge. And I think he... Oh no!
He's gonna try it, he's gonna absolutely try, but Savinski holds him off, pushes him off through turn 1, but Knox is still gonna be going side by side with him, barely wheel to wheel. Knox has the inside line for turn 2, it's his best opportunity yet, and it's going to capitalize every bit of it, through to the inside line, pushes Savinski a bit wide, Savinski for the inside of turn 3, wheel by wheel action, Lorenzo, wheel by wheel. I think Knox might just have it, through to turn 5, and Knox does it. Knox takes the lead on the final lap in the first sector. But Savinski gonna do all his best to take it away from him.
Oh, going into gravel won't help him, and I think it's going to help Francesco Grimalizzi. Instead, he looked very, very close to trying to make a move there. As Lucas Matalik, something has happened to Lucas Matalik, who was P7 in the orbit. That's going to make a change to the team standings as well. If he DNFs out of the race, there's still yellow flags. Lucas Matalik is out of the race, so the Czech driver, who was up in P7, something has happened to him, and we can't get a good look at it because there's still a battle for the lead happening here. James Knox, he seems to have it under control. Filip Czawinski, though, he seems to be in less control than James Knox. Very loose out of turn 12. Francesco Grimalizzi might be a drag race between the Polish driver and the Italian driver to the line here. James Knox rounds the final corner. He might win this race after a race-long battle with Filip Czawinski for it. And Filip Czawinski is going to cross the line in P2. Francesco Grimalizzi, unfortunately, not able to do anything. And Jonas Karola, if he had 1 or 2 more laps, I think he would have been in that battle as well. Oh, an amazing, amazing battle for the lead there. As Christian Glomsetter, he lost a position to David de Vrij, and David de Vrij is going to keep it. But on account of the fact that Lucas Matalik DNF'd, there's going to be a bigger points grab for Fox in race 1 than it would have been if Lucas Matalik didn't DNF. So for the time being, Fox stay in the championship lead after the first race, as we take a look at what exactly happened to Lucas Matalik.
Big replay there. That's the one of the VMS joins a little bit wide and losing positions. But look at the charge. Oh, that's huge contact there from Magnus Aukenhag. And just a very, very quick oversteering reaction. And Matalik, well, that's the problem about going very, very close. And you can't make the maneuver that you wanted to correct your car. Not at all the problem there. I think that might have been a tap from behind from Matalik. And just a little bit sideways. I think we have maybe seen that before. I think that might have been contact between that Magic Hag to the Fox Esports. So that's the case, and that's a real big shame for Magnus to make that such a response that catches Matchalik out, and unfortunately that won't be it, as we've seen collisions there between the Emerald Overdrive, but luckily it will be beyond the safe zone. Also, I saw one of the McKenna Racing drivers going reverse. James Knox,
Mateusz Pishan and Ben Skinner. I think they're just giving James Knox a hell of a crash out.
Makes sense. James Knox, he's done very well. He records his 3rd race win this season for his end. Filip Czawinski, he's very antagonizingly been denied at the last possible opportunity of a race win after beating Knox through to the line. But he certainly gave Knox a hell of a run of his money for the leading that he has done. He'll be pretty, well, he might be a bit upset for P2, but I think it was actually pretty impressive. So big hats off to the Polish driver. Francesco Grimalizzi, I mean, he's been pretty fantastic so far. He records a 2nd podium added to his career, 3rd place for him. Jonas Karola is in 4th with Ben Skinner, only just managed to gain 1 place in 5th, and it is Magnus Aukenhag who outperforms his teammate 6th to 8th, with David de Vrij for VMS splits in between the two of the Fox Esport drivers. Same with Vastin Van Smissen, his teammate just outside of Glomsetter, he's in 9th. And Askia Tiski, look at how well he's done. He's finishes in 10th for the Academy driver, for the Academy team. Through over to P11, we have got Mateusz Piszczan. He's done a very good recovery for 11th for Emerald Overdrive. Chris Davis for Camaro Racing Team is 12th, with David Yunt in 13th. Micha Luvink in 14th for McKenna Racing, with Tina Curtis in P15 for Elk International. Her teammate Ayman Lull also follows into P16, with Andrea Kinali for Frecinair in 17th, Pablo Mata in 18th, Eric Brenner in 19th, Mihailo Vincentievich for ST Racing completes through our top 20. Dan Hayek is our last, one of our last of our finishers in P21st. Lucas Matchalik, we've seen retired on the final lap, but since he did the 90 race distance, I think it will be classified. Amir Zeeuw is 22nd provisionally, with Bassani in P23rd, with Craig Pass in P24th, Manu Manikanta P25th, with Anthony Duval Salagi being retirements, along with Greg Kennedy being a lap down.
I just realized we never actually saw what exactly happened to Max Silagi on lap 1. And Dan Hayek was involved in that as well. I think Amir Zeeuw. If we got enough time, I reckon we can take a look at that. As Fabian gets that ready really quickly for us. While Fabian gets that ready, I'm curious to hear, Amir, who was your biggest surprise in race 1?
An overtake. I thought we weren't going to see an overtake, but we managed to see an overtake. This is a replay that you've been eyeing for, Lorenzo. This is back over through to Salagi, and he's been, I think, very unfortunate to have been our one of our slow retirements until a few laps later. Oh my goodness me, big contact there. That was Luvink being tagged along behind, and yeah, it's just very messy. It's there's so many cars going around at the start. It's just very hard to navigate in those circumstances. Now as Manny Kandan, this was Craig Passengers. Oh boy, this might be
Amir Hazik.
Yeah,
I think at this point, yeah, Amir Hazik and Dan Hike without a front wing, so they have collected in what happened between Silagi and I think that was Zockenhaug. And it was Glomsetter, I think, sorry, because Glomsetter was the one who qualified further up of the Fox. Oh, was there contact there between Junt and Hayek, which made Hayek go off? Whoa, very awful rejoin by Hayek as well. Nearly collects one of the Hunter Birches there.
It's that was, I think that might have been Manicanan, I believe, but yeah, there was. I've seen like crashes in the Hungarian before. I have admittedly been like in an incident like this. It's just so hard to really navigate through. I think I did the inappropriate thing, Lorenzo, of just flooring it, and of course I hit the wall and died. But that's not how you navigate through a turn 4 crash like that. But we'll hopefully see the race become a little bit cleaner for race 2. We're not going to go anywhere, but we're going to take a very, very short intermission, and we'll be back over for the sprint race as we bring you more information, such as who will be on reverse pole. But until then, me and Lorenzo will take a short break as Fabian will carry us here.
Inside a place of... On the next
pretzels. Kelty seat, the coffee beanery, Tyrek.
Flat out. Oh no! Oh no! Who's round? It's Magnussen. Oh, it's going to be a touch moment. It's in the barrier. Oh, they spun. Oh, this is a carnage.
And Menocon's
Oh
gonna
my
win.
God.
It's a double pass. Could they take each other off? They don't. And flag slide. It's a victory for the Tuties.
They touch. They're now. Oh no!
I'm sorry, Arno's gone around and met the wall. Mitchell will go through. Does it go uphill into turn 4? Oh, and round the outside. What a fabulous move.
Frelick will use all of his as well. Here he comes. He makes a move. They touch. They run wide. And Munio's going to get it. We're going 3-wide. Look at
Sing.
contact. Oh, my goodness. The Tyne has lost a wheel.
Time's out.
The dramatic race that we were teeing up the entire time has come to an end.
And we're back through live pictures. Welcome back. We've got 16 laps of a sprint to get underway very shortly as the warm-up for 5 minutes is almost coming through to its end. Thanks as well to Fabian for his fantastic camera work through the feature race, but we still got a bit of 16 laps and interviews left to go. Lorenzo joins you again alongside me once again, and here at the Hungarian Grand Prix, I think you can confirm to us our confirmation for who is going to be our reverse pole sitter.
Yeah, sure, why not? You know, it's been less of a while since P11 has been a reverse grid pole. There was that massive streak of, I think, over 40 rounds where there wasn't one. And then we had one a couple of rounds back, and now we do again. So that means P11 from the feature race, being Mateusz Piszczan, is going to be on sprint races reverse grid pole, which, you know, I think, knowing Mateusz Piszczan, he might be able to run away with that. I would not be surprised if there is a battle like there was in the feature race, but I think Mateusz Piszczan definitely has the quality to win it in the position that he's in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For how well that he did in qualifying to get up where he was in P11, to be even in talks of that, I think you and I were saying like, oh, it would be lucky if Emil Doverdrev maybe could have gotten a point out of it from Hayek or Piszczan, but no, P11, that's a pretty healthy point total for themselves, and it could translate into something much bigger if Mateusz could win, and he's done actually pretty good like this in the past. He was up front with one of the leaders in Jeddah, and the Hungaroring is regarded as one of his favorite tracks as well, so this could be another strong suit that we might see from him, and who knows, maybe he might actually win this season, but time will most certainly tell as we're almost rounding off our end of event here in the Formula Sprint 2 here at Hungary. I think it's I won't say it's been a mixed bag, but I think it's been a pretty interesting event regardless, I think, Lorenzo, especially for what we see in the feature race. Will we see the same in the sprint?
I would say that's a bit of a stretch. I feel like we haven't moved away from the top 3 and the leading pack for most of the race following the opening laps. Unless something massive happened towards the back, for example, Craig Patterson spinning out, Lucas Matulik crashing out. Yeah, I don't know. Race 1 wasn't as much of a procession as I thought it was, but it was still very, very difficult to overtake. I'm predicting more of the same for the sprint race, unfortunately.
I think it's going to be a big caution. I think the somewhat added advantage for this is usually in sprint races they're make more chaotic because of the slower guys in front and the faster guys behind. I don't think it's going to be as strong as the case here. For one, it's going to be pretty hard to do that, and two, how do I say this in the not nicest way possible, but oh god, words. There's less, so usually it's not going to be the worst that you can have in a reverse grid is like P15 and then completely inverse it that way. This is one of the lower numbers for like P11, so that means only going to be the top 11 are reversed. So
yeah, but not only that, but the fact is, sorry to cut you off there, Amir, but the fact is, even the people who are going to be reversed within those top 11, other than Asya Chiski, who is a debutant and has impressed thoroughly by finishing 10th in his first race in Formula Sprint 2, they're all drivers who have driven in FS2 for a long while and who are very experienced. Mateusz Piszczan is on pole, Ben Skinner is in there, Christian Glomset is still in that pack, both of the VMSs, Magnus Hockenhaug, James Knox, Philip Chowinski, Melissa, they're all drivers who are capable and who are experienced, and who I think, even with them being reversed, shouldn't cause any major incidents in that group that is consisting of them. And I feel like if anything were to happen on the opening laps, it would be more towards the back and wouldn't particularly affect the front running groups. But at the same time, FS2 is FS2, so you really can never know.
You can never know. Great words, Lorenzo. Warm up come to an end. It's an old McKenna holdout with first and second. Pischan third with Karla fourth. Palagi in fifth. Basani sixth. Hayek in seventh. Finale in eighth. Greg Kennedy, who's seems to be doing pretty well for now, season 9. Even Lau in 10th. Anna Manicana in 11th. And David Yunt. It is just wrong, but speaking of which, just like Canali improve up to P5, so that puts Salagi to 6th, Basani 7th. Oh, Davis is up at a 6th now, so we got. I'm not calling out again, but you can already sort of see just some people just setting their lap times as we slowly going to get ready for 16 laps. The big question is, Lorenzo, is, well, how different is it going to be to the feature race?
I do feel like not that wildly different, unfortunately. I do hope I'm proven wrong positively, obviously, and that it's not even more dreary than the first race was. But again, it's FS2. You can never know with this grid.
I don't know how to feel, to be honest. I'm not quite sure if we're gonna get the best racing in the Hungaroring or something absolutely hectic. But we're waiting. The cars are starting to line up for 16 laps. As we'll be back as soon as the formation lap gets underway and the cars take further to the grid. We'll be back racing again for 16 more laps here as we wait for sprint racing. Welcome back. We're back at trackside. We're waiting for all 28 cars to take their line up through to the grid. Again, I think we're still missing the same cars that we were previously. Yes, it is 29 cars. Mark Salagi, the home hero, will unfortunately be starting right at the very back after suffering for retirement in the feature race. So he's got quite a lot of climbing to do if he wants to try and get a point at his hometown. But Mateusz Piszczan, I think, was in a similar boat to him, just in a feature race, but managed to get into P11. So with how well Salagi has been doing, I think there is, an opportunity for him. I think it is nice to see sometimes we've got quite a amount of Eastern European drivers, and this is one of the primary Central Eastern European motorsport destinations, and they're all doing pretty well, so my hats off goes off to them. But we're ready for the formation lap as we begin through 16 laps of the sprint. We'll look over through, and a reminder for who is starting on pole position. Mateusz Piszczan, who started in P11, he'll be starting on pole. It's Asia Tiski in second for the Academy driver. Is Vanda Smithson into third. Christian Glomson, the championship leader for Fox Esports, is at fourth. Following through, it's David Arif for Vima Sunnet in 5th, with Magnus Ockenhag in 6th. Ben Skinner in 7th for Orbit, with Jonas Karla for Priority 1 in 8th. Following over through to row 5, it is Francisco Grimolizzi, and Philip Zimitsky follows through behind them. It is the race 1 winner in James Knox in 11th, and Chris Davis for Camera Racing Team in 12th. Following through to the rest of the voting, just how they finished. David Yunt is 13th, with Michel Ludwig from McKenna in 14th. Tina Curtis leads an All Elk International row 8, with Eamon Lau in 16th. Drake and I for Frechinera in 17th, with Pablo Mata for the Soulmate Vio in 18th. Eric Brenner holds on to Hunter Birch Simulations 19th. Mihailo Vasitievich joins alongside him for row 10. Dan Hayek for Moldova Drive is P21st, with Amir Hazik in Hot Performance Engineering P22nd. Ricardo Bassani for Camera Racing Teams P23rd, with Craig Parser for Priority 1 P24th. With Manamaikana joining behind in 25th, with Lucas Machulik, our first of our retirements, in 26th, with Greg Kennedy 27th, Anthony Duval 28th, and Mark Salaki, who retired on the first lap. He'll be starting right at the back at P29th.
Yeah, the home hero all the way down in last. Oh, never mind, go ahead.
Hometown hero started right at the back, as he said. Apologies for the interruption. Sorry, just need a bit of a correction there, but everyone is starting to line up on the grid. I think it'll be pretty interesting to see how this will merge. We can see Tiski already starting immediately on the left-hand side, almost looking to try and cover up his channel or maybe get behind his dirty air as we wait to see Salagi will be the final driver to line up onto the grid as we wait for the lights to illuminate. There we go. The 5 are coming on. We're going racing again here in the sprint. Oh my goodness, been contact already between Tiski and Van der Smissen as it's pitched out as a very clear-cut lead as Glabster is going to try and make it 3 wide already into turn 1 in the battle for P2. Contact already between Van der Smissen and Tiski. Contact. Glabster has been picked up from it and we've already got 3 cars going wide on the exit of turn 1. That absolutely did not need to happen whatsoever, and Skinner, big benefit out of all the soul, gets himself in a second, De Vries into third. But what the earth has happened between Glumsen and Tiski and Van der Smissen? That was such a unique car crash. I have never seen anything like that in FS2 at all, Lorenzo.
I mean, you can never be sure with FS2 whether you've seen it or not before. But one thing I saw in all of that chaos, whoa, that's Greg Kennedy in last position, very, very loose, going into turn 4 and has an even bigger gap now to catch up to. But one thing I saw as that is one of the mechanics, I think that is Mikalovic cutting the chicane, yes. Pablo Mata has got a drive-through penalty for jump starting, as that is Mihalovic and Zeeuw and Anthony Duval, and that is someone in the wall. That is Aman Lal in one of the Elk Internationals. So again, as I said, I was expecting most of the major incidents to happen towards the back, and other than Tiski and Van der Smissen and Glomsetter into turn 1, I've been for the most part right.
Yeah, just big. Unfortunately, we've already seen like 3 separate instances already, and it's pitched that leads with Skinner. We're looking up ahead with Okrak, who's going to pick up De Vries into turn 1 as not the sole Fox Esport driver now, because Glumton is still within this. He's P14 charging through Tina Curse at the minute, but Okrak makes it easy as he stick De Vries, tries his best to counteract that, but unable to do so. Carla, who's been a fantastic charger through the field in race 1 and keeping applying the pressure, could be doing the same thing through to De Vries as we're looking further back between Canania on a battle with Van der Smissen for the final point scoring position. Very unfortunate therefore for Glumsetter and Van der Smissen, who are all eyeing for much higher positions than where they are currently.
Yeah, but I know David De Vries, for example, here, he's up in P4. The VMS on his cars have been really, really strong in the sprint races this year. I think their sole win this year also comes from a sprint race all the way back in Melbourne when it was David De Vries himself who won it, and now is back in with a good shot of a podium. Is not far from Magnus Hockenhaug, but again, we saw in race 1 and we've talked about it so much during this live stream, overtaking Hungary is so difficult, and it's going to be a hard job for David De Vries to get in front of Magnus Hockenhaug. And you can see Magnus Hockenhaug slowly peeling away, but not enough for David De Vries to drop back fully, as Mateusz Pishan sets the fastest lap of the race himself and Ben Skinner. They've got a decent gap between them, but Ben Skinner is now narrowed the gap to 1 second. He's got 1.7 behind to Magnus Hockenhaug. So those two are just running their own race, really. They're in their own little world, and unless they make a mistake, I think they're going to be almost untouchable.
I think this is exactly what Skinner needs upon his return. It's just by some stroke of luck that Glumstead didn't have the best of starts, and Skinner could, if he gets himself a race win, then he could be well and truly eyeing this up back. But look at this battle between Davis and Yunt. This is in a battle for P10, side by side. Still Luvik trying his best to insert as Davis goes wide and has to hold on for it to the inside line of David Yunt. Luvik trying to insert himself. Can he possibly do it? He is going to do it against David Yunt, and his side by side for the chicane is going to do his best to get through. They both make contact and David Yunt hits the wall, loses his rear wheel, and that's his race over and done with. It's another Kriller race in retirement, but it's the other driver this time, Lorenzo.
I mean, Mikalovic was never going to make that stick. That is not a really optimal place to try and make an overtake, and that was always going to happen. We need to take a proper look with a replay at what exactly happened, but I think Mika Löving shouldn't have tried to do that, and yeah, it's up to the DC to decide, but to me it looks like most of the fault comes down to Mika Löving, as we are going to get a replay now and see what exactly happened. This is David Junt, and we're going to go on board with him, I'm assuming. There we go. Yeah, Mika Löving looked to have had enough space on the inside just about, but didn't value it and just sailed wide by the looks of things from David Junt's POV into David Junt. This is Lucas Machulik and Eric Brenner going through turn 5. Oh, something happened there as well.
So yeah, so this is the Löving holding it to the inside. Almost inserts it through, but has to stick through behind. Already makes contact already.
Tagged.
And yeah, that was a tag there by Löving. I think it just wasn't quite going there. And sometimes when you see it just closing up, it's just not worth making it too wide. That chicane is very, very hard, Lorenzo, to be too wide.
Yeah, but you saw the two tires and how they nearly merged into each other. We've seen that happen so many times, not just this season, FS2, but the past 1 or 2 as well. It's something that's been plaguing these cars, among many things, sadly. And it's David Junt this time who paid the price for it. And Mika Löving, he's out of the race as well, so both of them are out now.
So our second retirement, and this could be a separate incident, I believe. Don't think it happened at a later stage, because I think it did make some comments, but maybe have a quick replay and see the incident that's happened to the McKenna Racing driver, who's unfortunately he's done very well up through the midfield. To have his day end like this is quite suboptimal, but I think we might get it or might not. If we're not, that's fine. We can.
I think he might have just pulled over from the damage caused by the incident with David Junt. That would be, yeah. There we go. Confirmation from Fabian that that is indeed what happened. As we move onwards from who we've lost to who we've still got on track, James Knox and Francisco Grimalizzi, they were very, very close to battling in the feature race. Now they're going to have to battle for James Knox to get up into P6, potentially even further up, because he sees ever so slightly Magnus Hockenhaug up there in front. It's a train stretching all the way from P3 with Magnus Hockenhaug down to P8 with Philip Chawinski. So there's a 6-car train, and it might become 7 soon, because Asjad Chiski is 1.4 seconds behind. But he is slowly gaining time by the looks of things, and Chris Davis isn't far from him either. So he could go all the way down from P3 to P10.
Could well possibly be that. You're completely right, Lorenzo, as that is Corrala a little bit onto the gravel trap on the exit of the curb. But no real harm lost, just having to worry about Grimalizzi a little bit more. But I think we'll wait to see if James Knox, Savinsky and company are going to bite the bullet and make their overtakes. We might see Grimalizzi make a move first on Carla up ahead. If he's willing to make a move, he's almost died for it, but is unable to do so. That's Laggy that is dropping, who was in P20. He's dropped off even further. Is this going to be a second retirement for the Hungarian? It isn't. He's just about for the exit of the hairpin, but he's entered into the pits. Very unfortunate there from Lorenzo. It's just not his race, especially for how good of a qualifying he is. It's very, very kind of upsetting to witness that.
Yeah, especially since he's racing at his home event as well. Mark Szilagyi, so unfortunate. He's in the pit lane right now. We're not quite sure what is DNF'd yet or not, as that was Anthony Duval battling with Greg Kennedy. Yeah, there we go. Confirmation Mark Szilagyi is out of the race indeed. And you do really hate to see that. But there's really nothing you can change now once he's out of the race, as Greg Kennedy was fighting Anthony Duval for P20. They're still going at it, but we're following this train currently. Nope, never mind. As we move there we go. Greg Kennedy currently P21, and Anthony Duval onto the grass there out of the chicane out of turn 7, and Greg Kennedy would have thought that he'd gain time on Anthony Duval with that mistake by the St. Lucian driver, but no, he's lost time and he's under serious pressure by Manu Kandan, I think that is behind him.
Brenna, that's Brenna coming from behind. That was Manu Kandan. Yeah, that was him going wide, so Eric Brennan could go off, and Mano a bit under pressure for Eamon Law, who's had, we've seen earlier, had a moment in the first sector, a couple of laps back, and could be eyeing for, I think this might be his first overtake in this race. But speaking of overtakes, this could be definitely a brewing one between James Knox and Grimalitzi and company. We'll have the DRS approaching into turn 2, holding on through to the very wide hairpin, and then the almost near 90-degree right-hander after. It is still going to be Auchenag that leads through this charge. That is Carla trying to make a move on De Vries on the entry into turn 4 through to 5. And nothing really materialized, but Carla almost made an advantage for it. And there you go, James Knox trying to maybe go side by side, unable to do so against Grimalitzi, stays behind.
Yeah, that was what it looked like to me for a period of time while following Jonas Carla there, was that David de Vries lost quite a bit of time on Magnus Auchenag, still within the draft and still inside the DRS range for this season. Oh
my word.
That's James Knox going very wide out of turn 11, and he has not lost that much time on Francesco Grimalitzi, although that's going to hamper him as well, and Filip Chawinski seemed to follow suit with him out of turn 12 into the gravel. What I was going to say is David de Vries looked to have lost time on Auchenag. So if that really is the case, if David de Vries is slowly losing time on Magnus Auchenag, then it's in Jonas Carla's best interest to ramp up the pace and get past the Dutchman as quick as possible to try and challenge Auchenag for the podium. Because Jonas Carla, God knows he needs it with Christian Glomsetter, who's now past Tina Curtis for P11 right there. Jonas Carla is still technically a championship contender, but he's got a bit of a distance between himself and Glomsetter and Skinner, and with Skinner in P2 he's going to need any possible point that he can get.
Yep, important overtake there by Glomsetter. He just has to do really get any point he possibly can from the disadvantage that he has been really started with since turn 1. He's kind of doing that now. He's just about P11. He's going to try his best to bridge the gap between himself and Davis, which is currently, he's not climbing it back. It was 2.2, now 1.8. That's Grimalitzi a little bit into the trap. And Skinner nearly took full advantage of that, but wasn't quite close enough to pull a move of such. So the Englishman still sniffing the Italian, but couldn't quite anything to muster or make anything of note. So Francesco still just about holding on to 6th from Notts and Zawinski, as it is still Auchenag controlling the pace of this pack.
Yeah, again, it's a bit of a repeat as Filip Chawinski goes very wide, even outside of the gravel through turn 12. It's a bit of a repeat here of the feature race with quite a big train and just no opportunity for anyone to pass, except it's not for P1 this time, it's for P3. And it's double the size, the train here. So again, we talked about how Christian Glomsetter has had the fastest lap of the race, so he's ramping up the speed. He's got a 1.7 gap to Chris Davis in front, who was looking to overtake Asiaczewski for P9, and he might be able to do so. He's going to be on the outside for turn 2. Asiaczewski is going to still stay side by side, but Asiaczewski, although he's in front now, he does stay in front and slots in front of Chris Davis. I would have thought that Chris Davis would manage to stay alongside for turn 3 where he'd have the inside line, but that was not the case. Asiaczewski keeps P9 for now. Although he started P2, this is still a very impressive first round by the Spanish driver, if you obviously ignore what happened on lap 1 of the sprint race, as Jonas Carla looked very unsettled exiting the chicane there.
Yeah, I think Tiski has been very phenomenal in this race. I do agree with you. Even if you include or not include the first corner, the fact that he defended against Davis in that manner does showcase that he's got a big pedigree in sim racing a bit behind him. You can sort of tell in terms of how experienced a sim racer is by how they defend. So again, it's a true testament that he's managed to defend from some of the likes of Chris Davis, who, keep in mind, very experienced in the R Factor 2 sim, but it would be a pretty big challenge to defend not only from Davis but also Glomsetter, who's been a charge up ahead, as we're still looking on for Carla in 5th, who's still sandwiched in between two battles that could be brewing. Knox looking for a move on Grimalitzi doing his best to defend, and Knox immediately swings his way back over to the outside prior to the turn. That could have been a little bit of a dumb move there by Knox. That was Van Smith and almost be going wheel to wheel with Kinalia. And it's going to be going side by side between these two. There's another green car. If Hayek might be inserting himself into the picture, we'll see the Dutchman swing his way down through contact though. And that is big contact. None of them effectively go off track. A great drift there by Andrea to hold the car and hold his position.
Yeah, that could have been a massive chain reaction. We saw Dan Hayek have to brake very hard to avoid the back of Justin van der Smissen there, and that caused Lucas Matulik to nearly go into the back of Dan Hayek. If it weren't for the reflexes of those two, it could have been a free car crash, as there's yellow flags in sector 2, so I'm assuming someone has crashed indeed. But someone we don't see is Greg Kennedy, so one of the McManus cars out of the race without a rear right wheel and without a front wing as well, so something has happened to the Scotsman. Was it driver error or was there contact with anyone else? Manamani Camden has retired indeed. We missed that a couple of laps ago, and Greg Kennedy still hasn't gone back to the pit lane, which is very unsafe from the Scotsman. No, he's still listed as being a one lap down instead of a DNF. If he was a DNF, no, he's still there. So, what exactly is going on there?
Greg, press escape.
Oh, there we go.
Press escape, Greg. Thank you. I was worried he may not know if he was new to back in for the back of Jonas, and that could have ended horribly, but luckily Jonas kept control of it, and Francisco finds himself under pressure from James Knox, and look at this, Jonas also making a move against the free. We've got two battles going on ahead. Francisco did his best to defend, but Knox first to the inside line, holds it up through, couldn't quite make it done. He has to stay behind for the time being. DeVries still barely holds off from Carroll, and Grimildency still barely holds off from Knox.
Yeah, and Dan Hayek in the meantime has gotten past Justin van der Smissen, but Justin van der Smissen is not far back, but he can't overtake. They're really loose on the rear end from the Dutchman. Lucas Matulik looks to the outside of turn 5, but he's going to have the outside for turn 6. Loose from Matulik as well. That's going to allow Riccardo Bassani to get in front of him into the chicane, before the chicane even. The Italian now up into P16. Oh, loose from Bassani as well now. Matulik now threatens him, but not close enough to make an overtake.
This was previously a train, and this has been completely in shatters now, so this could be a little bit of advantage for Hayek and Van der Smissen, who both broke it away from this, can now make their way to maybe gain a few more positions up through the field. We're lap 11 out of 16, still got a handful of laps left to go towards the end of the sprint race, and there's still positions available out for grabs. They got 5 laps left remaining as Pischan goes for the start-finish line, as he still leads for Ben Skinner, who's now gone down to about 4 tenths, so Skinner still could be a chance of taking the lead away if you can apply the pressure regardless. We saw a lock up there, that might be from Carla, which could be very disadvantageous. And speaking of disadvantageous, Francesco Grimildency under pressure from James Knox to swing his way for the outside through turn 2. Knox is going to do his absolute best to try and hold it in so he can take the inside line for turn 2, but he's too far away out, and unfortunately a move cannot be made there by the Englishman. He has to slot in behind the French, behind the Italian. As we're speaking of which, Jonas Carla up ahead trying to make the move on DeVries, but couldn't quite do so, as Knox almost dummies him through to the inside, but couldn't quite do it close enough. I'm sorry for calling Francesco French. I shall be sued.
Yeah, again, it's been a reoccurring theme here in Hungary. It's so hard to pass, and as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if race 2 was a bit similar to race 1, and it more or less is. We're just a different race win and quite a lot of different positions, but yeah, Francisco Grimildency finding it hard to get up to Jonas Carroll and overtaking. James Knox trying to overtake Francisco Grimildency, unable to do so, and we can see this train has grown. It's grown if you look far back enough. It now stretches back all the way to Christian Glomsetter in P11. So there's a Fox Esports at the end of this train and at the start of this train. So Ockenhagen P3 down to Glomsetter in P11.
This is the strategy that Magnus might have wanted, to hope that Oh, no, what am I talking about? But speaking of which, let's bet Skinner and Matej Piszczan. Skinner almost looked to the inside, couldn't quite make the move done. But Matej Piszczan, who we thought was going to be surely to be able to hold on to this lead since he's inherited it at the pole position, was going to run away with it. But Ben Skinner is going to give him an absolute run for his money right down to the very last lap. Could we be seeing a position change similar to what we've seen beforehand?
Potentially. I would not be surprised if Piszczan and Skinner are doing this just out of their own amusement. Obviously, Skinner has a lot on his plate. He's got the Drivers' Championship and Teams' Championship here, on which he can improve by winning the race. Oh, James Knox and Francesco Grimalizzi both in the wall!
Francesco hit the wall! Francesco hits the wall! James Knox manages to slot in behind at least to the very back end. But for Grimalizzi, meanwhile, who's done very well, done fair from Knox, his race is over!
It's over, but he's definitely dropping down. I don't know if he's trying rejoining the track yet or if he's fully out of the race. We're going to take a look at that yet again. This is where Francesco Grimalizzi goes wide out of turn 7, the chicane. Oh,
Grimalizzi nearly saved it, which is the most heartbreaking thing of this all. Could have almost saved it. James Knox smelt the opportunity at the exit of the chicane, and I think Grimalizzi is continuing to go on ahead, so he might be able to finish luckily. But we've seen here where Chris Davis is trying to make his move past Gontiski, who's holding on to 7th, but Davis swings his way on for the outside. Could he finally put this battle through to bed, through to the outside line? Couldn't quite do it. He has to slot back right in, but he will have the DRS again and is able to maybe make for another move. He's looking for the inside line, and Gontiski for a back surprise. Both make contact a little bit. Tiski was not expecting that, and Tiski is going to drop positions. Davis finally gets himself into 7th, and we might be seeing another improvement from behind, as there is Knox. He does make the overtake through. He gets himself up at 8 finally. As we see further on back, that could be Glomsetter, who could get into P9, but he's not quite close enough to make a move just yet on the Academy driver.
no, he's not close enough at all, and James Knox got very lucky with what happened a couple of corners earlier to be able to get in front of Shisky, and yeah, now he's got Chris Davis to catch. And Chris Davis he's had a pretty quiet race so far, but he's managed to get P7, and we've talked about the pedigree that Chris Davis has and how prominent he is in sim racing, and I think this is a deserving position for him to be in, but no one will see him in often, surprisingly. And I think he's going to give James Knox a good run for his money if he wants to get that P7 at the end of the day.
Speaking of a good run of his money, Piszczan, I think, is kind of doing that to Ben Skinner. We're approaching over for 2 laps left to go. The gap has improved to about 7 seconds, maybe, 7 tenths, 6 tenths now. And James Knox now, we could be seeing a double overtake though through the back as well. You can see Glomsetter make his way past on Tiski, but Knox surely makes the move, cemented on Chris Davis ahead. Knox makes the move onto Davis, and we've seen Glomsetter make the move onto Cheeky. They might be able to see a response from both drivers. Cheeky's surely going to try and look it for the outside. Couldn't quite do it. Davis is not close enough to make a response himself, so that will be it cemented. That is Davis, oh my goodness, that is Glomsetter overtaking Cheeky, and Davis overtaking, and Knox overtaking Davis.
Yeah, and I think it's going to stay like that unless Glomsetter managed to overtake Davis as well. But again, Davis didn't manage to defend as well as I thought he would have to James Knox, and James Knox definitely not going to have time to catch back up to the train that is Okenhaug, De Vrij, Kaurala and Chawinski, as he's got one more lap after this one to do it, and unless the 4 of them make catastrophic errors like Kaurala nearly did right there out of turn 11, then I just don't see it happening, and Philip Chawinski might pounce on that, and he is bouncing on it. He pushes Kaurala. It looked like he pushed him wide out of turn 12, but he goes up into P5. Kaurala still there. Almost contact between the 2 of them, but looked clean, and Kaurala drops to P6, Philip Chawinski up into P5.
For the final lap of the race now, I think Piszczan has clearly put the lead to bed. 6 tenths is not going to be close enough though, as James Knox gets the fastest lap of the race, who's hold on to P7, 9 tenths away. Couldn't quite much more prove for himself, as we might see Kaurala and Savinsky if that battle continues on ahead. I think Skinner has thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, at Mateusz, but nothing quite has managed to make a response. Emil's Overdrive, who had a not pretty ideal qualifying session, will be exiting out with some very healthy points and will continue their fight towards Orbit and Fox Esports still alive. With Ben Skinner in second, the Fox Esports is third and ninth. So I think Fox Esports, has the leverage out of the exit out of the Hungaroring as we enter into the Hockenheim ring, which is coming up in about 2 weeks' time. But we'll see for Mateusz, who's done. Well, he's a pretty standout driver. Lorenzo, he's done pretty good performances, especially for the one that comes to mind in Jeddah, who was holding up to the lead and was so close to getting a win in that sense, but didn't quite pull it off at the very last minute. But Mateusz, through to the last few corners, he's well and truly has put a race to the bed. He started on reverse grid pole position. He initially started from a back of the grid penalty and finishes all the way up at P11, got reverse grid pole, and has led every single lap from the start to the very end. Mateusz Pishan wins the sprint race here at the Hungarian Grand Prix as Ben Skinner runs off free again. It's back like he's never left with a podium added to his accolades. Okinawa goes through to the line. He manages to finally defend the free from start to the right down to the very finish to hold on to P3 for Fox Esports. How funny that the top 3 teams in the constructors both all finished on the podium here in the sprint race.
And how funny is it for the second round in a row, the person who started from the back of the grid in race 1 ends up winning race 2 is Lucas Matulik in Spa. It's now Mateusz Pishan at Hungary. It can't be third time again at Hockenheim, can it? As Magnus Hockenhaug does some donuts to celebrate P3.
I think we see lots of, I think we've seen a couple of people through to their races. We've got very healthy points, but there you go. There's a confirmation provisional race results after 60 laps. Mateusz Pishan for Emil's Overdrive. It's a third different race winner, I believe, for the American Alpha team. Almost the most. Over at Motorsports also joins along for that club as well. Ben Skinner follows through behind in second place. Magnus Okala completes our through to our top 3. A very good sprint race, to be honest, from the front pack. David De Vries, having started in P3 with that incident between... Actually, no, he's managed to improve, my apologies. So the VMS Sunheads, he's done very well in 4th. Again, that was VMS's strongest results, I think, since Melbourne. I think was the last one that came through to mind. Philip Zeminski from McKenna Racing is in 5th, with Jonas Karla in 6th. So both exchanged positions at the penultimate lap, with James Knox in 7th. A bit of a messy race for him, but still pretty decent points off for him overall. Chris Davis for Chimera is 8th, with Christian Globsetter. With the incident that's happened at the first turn, I think P9 is a very good result for him. Same with Asier Tiski, who completes for our top 10 in his debut. Very good, my hats off to him as well. Through to P11, we have got Tina Curtis for Elk International with Adrian Canalia for Fortuna in P12. Dan Hayek is P13 for Emerald Overdrive, with Justin Smith following behind. He was the worst of the people that was involved in that first corner incident. He finishes in 14th. Ricardo Pisani will be our last of our points finishers here at the Hungaroring. Lucas Matchlick just unfortunately misses out on the points for Orbit Motorsports. I don't think he scored points at all in both races, which is very unfortunate there for Lucas. The previous race winner will exit out pointless. Amir Hazik for a performance in 17th, with Craig Price of Ferrari 2-1 is 18th. Eric Brenna, I think that is also his second best finishing result. I'm not quite sure, for Hunter Birch in 19th. Anthony Duval completes over through to a top 20 in the Academy team. Eamon Law, with an incident in the first lap, does recover through to P21st. Mihailo Vicentevich finishes in P22nd, and Pablo Mata also recovers through to P23. Unfortunately, got time retirements. The two McManuses both retired. Grimlitzy involved in a contact with Knox. Kennedy, unfortunately, got caught in turn 5. Manamana Kanda, we didn't quite see what happened to him. Mark Salagi, unfortunately, will be completely pointless after his home Grand Prix. Big shame for him. Mitchell Luvic, another retirement we've had, and same with David Yunt. So quite a handful amount of retirements, but honestly I was expecting a little bit more, but I think that's been us here, and we can move swiftly on through to the interviews. What did you think of those two races?
I don't know. They did come off as very procession-like, but there were still some good battles and some very interesting incidents, to put it in words, that are allowed really in public. But yeah, I think unfortunately one of the more boring races this year, even with some of the good battles we had for P1, for example, in the feature race, I still think it was overall a bit of a bore fest, and I think a lot of drivers would agree with me as well.
We'll just wait to see in a very short time. Okay, good. He's read the message. All right, it's Sorry, I was just checking with my driver. It's just we'll see if there'll be people doing interviews. There is a couple of them. We've got actually we've got the leading pair of Knox and Savinsky in race 1. They both put on a very dramatic lead. A battle for the lead, and in the end it was James Knox who started on pole that did went on to win race 1, and we'll discuss with him here now. James, hello.
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 Hello. Great race on your end, I think, in the qualifying and the feature race. You were very close to losing pole position by Filip Savinsky and in the lead, but you persevered, I think, in both circumstances, both by luck and also by pure strategy, to take pole position and win the feature race. So how did that feel from your perspective? I imagine it must be one of the more tougher race wins in your FS2 career thus far.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was really, really good fun. I mean, I haven't really got much words to describe it, really. I mean, it's one of my better wins. I was very happy to have, be racing with such a clean driver. Philip was, incredible in his defence. He didn't give me an inch for the whole race. So kudos to him. He was great, and it's great to see, really. Really getting me on for my money. Yeah, just sat behind him the whole race, desperate to try and see where he was weaker on, specific parts on the track and what I could do to maybe get past him. Once it got to that final lap and I was as far away as I was to him, I was like, I'm too far back at this point, quite risky. But I still went for it around the outside and it worked. So again, it was a risky move, but it paid off, and I was very happy. I was happy to come away with the win there. But race 2, yeah, just unfortunately stuck in constant trains and unfortunately that is Hungary for you. It's just like a train fest, unfortunately, and it was unfortunate what happened with Grimalitzi. Obviously, I apologise for that. I'm not sure if that was caught on stream, but he went off track. I tried going down the inside, but it was not enough room there on the inside. So I'll have to look back at that in the debrief, see what we could do there, and whether it's we'll see what happened there. But no, very good race on both fronts. As for the Fox guys, yeah, really good race 1, 6th and 8th, I believe it was, and then unfortunately race 2 just turned into a bit of a bowling session, I think, going into turn 1, and Christian unfortunately got the worser end of it, but it was able to come back to P10, obviously, and also well done to Magnus on his P3. Unfortunately, I was stuck in the exact same train that he was leading. But anyway, enough waffle. That is how my race went.
Bad. Lorenzo, any questions?
No, to be quite frank with you, because I'm keeping myself busy with updating the spreadsheet standings at the moment.
Good lad. That's what we like to say.
Exactly.
It's your 3rd race win, James. I think that ties you. You're the most winningest driver, I believe, in the entire field. I think. Yeah, you are. Every other driver apart from you has got at most 2 wins, but this is your 3rd, means that you're the most winningest now. This has promoted you up a couple of places in the championship. I believe it puts you, I think, in just
Don't
about
say anything, I'm not done yet. Expectedly, James, I think it puts you about in the width of the top 10. But again, 3 race wins. It's been incredible that you've got more wins than Skinner or Glomsetter has in the span of. They had the entire season, whereas you joined abruptly halfway through in Imola. We're coming over through to the next round in the Hockenheimring. This is a new track. You haven't raced in the FS2s last season. Last season we were in the Nürburgring. So how do you feel heading to preparation in a new track?
Well, we actually we did do Hockenheim in 2024. I'm not sure if you were around there at that point, Amir.
Oh no, I wasn't. I wasn't. I was a fetus.
no, we
back then.
did. Yeah, we did Hockenheim in FS2 in 2024. I enjoyed it at the time. Obviously, it was my rookie season, so I wasn't exactly quick, but it's a good track, and hopefully more overtaking opportunities than Hungary, because that was very difficult. I think it's like the Monaco with no walls. It's basically impossible to overtake on, and you have to try and force someone into a mistake. So but very, very excited for Hockenheim in 2 weeks' time, I believe. So yeah, we'll be good.
Yeah, thanks very much for your time, James. Thanks very much for your time for the interviews, and big congratulations on your 3rd race win this season. It's again very remarkable to see you drive, and all the best for the Hockenheim.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, James. We're coming up through to our next interviewer, who's also waiting for an interview. We'll look over through to Philip Saminsky, who's done very well in race 1 and also in the qualifying. Philip, can you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear.
A little bit of a, well, not really a shame. I think it's a very strong race from your end, but I can probably feel after race 1 you must be very gutted to have not come away out of race 1 for the win. But I can imagine you still must have been thrilled for how well you did performance-wise, regardless.
I mean, for me, race 1 was so good. I don't care about the result, honestly. The fact that I was able to hold off the pressure basically for 20 laps straight is a big achievement for me. So I'm happy with that I could finish, considering the issues with my connection recently.
Yeah, that was me and Lorenzo also discussing how much of a big talking point that was. We were quite unsure with the previous internet. Did you manage to solve the internet connection issues, or was it a big unknown coming into? Oh, fantastic! Let's go. Oh, that was so.
I mean,
that must
to be
have been so
okay.
good.
I mean, I disconnected right after race 2 finished basically, but that was like a small Ethernet death. It wasn't like a game drop, but it was literally Ethernet died.
Just a small death.
Did you disconnect
minute.
after race 2?
Yes.
Oh, 1 minute. Okay. Oh my word, that's.
I literally
Okay.
went by the chicane in sector 2, and then I saw on the task manager that I had open on my other monitor the connection dropped.
That makes sense. I think you've mentioned race 1 was incredibly impressive from your end, and I think we can agree defending for 21 laps is utmost impressive. How did you feel for race 2? I know you were kind of stuck in the pack, but did you feel you made most of the opportunities that you were given from being in the pack?
Yeah, definitely. As I usually say, I just waited out for anything to happen, and well, it happened. Nox and Grimoliti collided after the chicane, and I used it to move up. And then Kaurala had a mistake out of turn 11, I think it is. So I used it to, that was the only opportunity I had to move up. So I used it all.
Lorenzo, do you have any questions for our podium sitter?
No.
Wow.
I am still
next
busy with
race.
the spreadsheet.
That's fine. Next race is in Hockenheim. Philip, how do you feel for your chances? Is it a track that you have a strong suit at? Is it? How do you feel over riding into it?
Unfortunately, I will be missing that round because I'm going on family vacation. But
That's nice.
let's say the
not
next
nice.
round for Monza is an insanely good track for me. That's like the best track for me in the entire calendar. So I'm hoping I can do something insane there.
Thanks for your time, Philip, and best enjoyment for your holidays. And we'll hope to see you back in Monza in September time then.
Also, fun fact: I'm going to the Hungaroring in real life. So
oh my God!
fun.
No way. With GPVWC Inception, guys, press F and press W in the chat. Hope you enjoy your time in the Hungaroring, Philip. Hope you have all the
I
fun
got
there.
I got very almost the best grandson, I think, to watch the action. So.
Oh, that's nice. That's proper nice. Well, have all the fun there, and feel free to send some pictures too if you want to.
Thanks.
See yous. Okay, we've got what other people do we have? We've got Mateusz Piszczan, actually, who's here with us. He's a race winner in the sprint race, and we'll happily bring him along. Mateusz, can you hear us?
Hello, bro. Yes,
Hello, bro.
Hello, bro.
Hello,
How are you, bro?
Bro. Yeah.
Yeah, Mateusz, I think could be saying nothing more than an extreme impressive performance on from your end. You had a back of the grid penalty heading into this round, and you exit out of race 2 as a race winner. Did you ever imagine having a penalty at that stance and admittedly struggling during qualifying that you would come out with a race win?
I didn't struggle in qualifying. You know, I had a great penalty, so I just didn't really do laps. Like, if you look at my onboard, I did 7 laps in a row. At the end, I did one half quali lap to make sure I'm ahead of Busani and the other guy. I think it was Lal, because I checked before the race. They also had back of grid penalties, so I wanted to be ahead of them of the race start. The pace was there. I knew the pace was there despite not doing much practice as I did for Jeddah. I'm happy with. I would say my race 1 was better than my race 2, because my race 1 I did some incredible moves that I'm very proud of. And race 2 was just, you know, kind of boring, showing Ben Skinner who's better. And yeah.
How many laps of practice did you say you did? You said like you did like 10 or something?
I've done like, I think overall I've done like 20 timed laps, and like 10 laps were done doing dirtier. So yeah.
Jesus, my word. So you said, what was your favorite overtake in race 1 then? Because you said you made so many incredible moves. Which one, if you had to pinpoint which one was your favorite, which one was it?
There was 2 moves that I would say like were cool. So one of them was like, you know, out of the chicane. It was the chicane. I think David Young made a mistake, went into the grass. Was side by side with the academy car of, I don't remember, the guy that went bowling in race 2, and I like went around the outside and I like rebanged wheels because he kind of turned in, and that was a nice move. And then I think the same lap or a lap later, a guy tried to squeeze me like Barrichello Schumacher style, but I squeezed through and I made the move, so that was nice as well.
Someone tried to. Okay, I don't think we've seen that. So
can we have the clips?
Yeah, go on then. Do you have Oh, I don't have clips. I thought you would get that up on like the stream thingy in the replay, but the server's down.
We can't.
I'll show you the replay one day. When the replays come out. Yeah.
First.
I know it's emergency roll on your end, but you still. I think the win kind of helps keep the momentum for Moldova Drive still a bit alive, and as we've said for Lorenzo, it's sort of transitioning into a 3-way fight. You hold a very strong alliance with Moldova Drive. How do you feel from that in your team principal perspective?
I'm happy that we got something in the end. You know, Dan, unlucky in race 1, got taken out during the little pile-up, I would say. On lap 1, nothing really he could have done, so finishing in the points in race 2 for him after race 1, starting P21 is actually good from him. Also, we had some fortune with the second orbit of Matulik, I think it was, crashing out on the final lap in race 1. And just a shame that the Fox cars scored a lot of points. You know, Glamstetter had an incident in race 2, I think, and he still got like P12, so yeah.
Yeah.
Good result for the team, I think. Could have been better, obviously. Could have won both races. Could have been on the podium both races, but you know, that just if we're hoping we can finish the season strong. I think Tice is gonna be back for the next round, so that's gonna help us. Just need to get done, you know, motivated, because you know, you're talking about me not doing practice. I don't think Dan did much more practice than me either, so yeah.
It's fair enough. I remember you boasting about an FS2. It was like, I did 70 laps of practice. I was like, wow, you did 70 laps of practice and finished in the lead. Well done. This is your second, I believe, emergency drive that you've used. Is there any more circuits on the calendar that you're eyeing to drive? Because I know Youngsters says he's on holiday. Are you driving in Hockenheim then?
Ooh, I actually don't know. But I think is it the summer break now? I'm not sure. I don't know. But eyeing up Singapore. I'm a big fan of Singapore. I like Singapore. Singapore is a great track, Big fan of Vettel as well. So I want to do Singapore. However, I'm not sure if time-wise or just commitment-wise I'll be able to do Singapore. I'd like to do Monza as well. One before around Monza. I'm usually around Monza. I'm pretty quick. But if I want to do those 2 rounds, again, I need to have time. I need to have commitment, and also I need to have Ty's drive. And as of now, I'm not sure if he's gonna drive or not. So, yeah.
I'll ask Lorenzo if he has any questions in case if he's done the spreadsheet or not. Have you done the spreadsheet, Lorenzo?
No.
Oh, are you still doing it?
Yeah, I'm still doing it. I just got the teams left.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks, Matesh, for your time, and well done.
I would like to thank the Forbidden Brody Lawless for giving me some words of encouragement before the race. I'd like to... Why? Oh, Jesus, man. It's fine, it's alright. And also Lanor Rahim for being my brother and my brother from another mother, and also, of course, Dan being there for me, and Emerald Overdrive.
Yeah, I have a question. When are we going to see Lanor Rahim at Emerald Overdrive?
Hopefully never. Yeah.
That's mean.
Hopefully never. Yeah, well, Lanor, I know Lanor, Lanor knows himself. Hope he never hears this interview.
First.
Yeah. Alright. That's it from me, I think.
Cheers, Matesh. Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Matesh. Thank you so much, and well done.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Got time for, well, not one more, but Justin Rasmussen, I think, is willing and able to be interviewed. So I'll bring over Justin over. Justin, can you hear us?
Yes, yeah.
Hello. It's I think it's a hard from your perspective, but VMS seems to be extremely strong in Hungary, and I think you might probably agree with me. I think it could have been something much bigger than just the points that you're given. I think part of it, you mentioned yourself, or not you mentioned it, but race 2 was the one that really came to mind. What was your thoughts about that contact at the turn 1?
Well, firstly, I kind of disagree with you on us being strong here. We were pretty slow with practice and stuff, and I tried a tiny change for qualifying, which somehow gave us a bit of an edge, going a bit more towards the midfield, which was really good for race 1. Yeah, race 1 we had a good start, kept out of incidents, and basically gained all the positions from people crashing out. And I told David from lap 6, let's stay in this position, just finish, because we could have overtaken maybe Okanagan and Lucas ahead, but I didn't see the point in trying to go for it on this track, because we know this track is hard for overtaking. We've seen it in the past years, and I know we are trying to go for P5, for the top 5 in the team standings, so every point we can get is very valuable. So yeah, we just basically stayed all the way back in race 1, and then yeah, race 2, to be honest, I don't know what the driving was, but seems like the new standard is just turn left or right on a straight line. Like, I don't know what to say about it other than I kept my wheels straight, and he thinks it's okay to just keep banging left even though I'm there. Like, I can't disappear in nothing, and I wouldn't say it's fair racing as well. Like, if you want me to go out of the way, then why do we even sign up for racing?
Yeah, I understand.
think
Did that incident into turn 1, I think, because from the casualties or the victims from that incident, I think you're the one that dropped the most. Did you sustain any damage from that turn 1 incident, perchance?
Both my front suspensions were fucked, and the lap rear was also gone. So yeah, that already set quite a tone for the remainder of race 2, and then especially on a track like this, like I said, you can't overtake. You can get close, but that's it. You cannot overtake. And I've had a few encounters with a name I'm not gonna say, thinking it's okay to dive bomb. He tried it 3 times, 2 times failed, and the 3rd time he got ahead of me because his A light hit my front wing, so he didn't spin out into turn 3. that's the only reason he got ahead. And I saw some other drivers trying it as well. So, I mean, I don't know what to say about the driving standards, but it seems like that's at the point where we're at. And I hope that for the next few rounds and the remainder of the season, that will be not the case. That we will have fair racing, good racing, hard racing, but without incidents and stupid driving.
Lorenzo, do you have any questions?
Yes, I finally managed to finish the standing spreadsheet, and I'm going to pose a question immediately related to it. You said you're gunning for top 5 with VMS Senators for this season. Following this round, without any penalties so far, you are currently 26 points behind McKenna. Do you think you can get those 26 points by the summer break, or do you think it's going to take a bit longer?
Well, I think it's gonna take a little bit longer. I mean, I hope to be in the fight with at least 3 rounds to go. So basically, from Singapore on, to be really close to them, or if not already ahead of them, to try and fight for the P5 in the remaining 3 rounds. So the upcoming 3 rounds will be very critical in trying to go for that goal. Especially in 2 weeks at the Hockenheim, because I will not be participating. I will enjoy my holiday in the Czech Republic. But I just hope David and the substitute that we can arrange will do pretty good in terms of scoring points for us, to try and close the gap down to McKenna. And yeah, I just hope we get a chance to fight for it with at least a few rounds to go.
That's all from me.
That's us. That's us from both then. Thank you very much, Justin, for your time, and all the best from us both for your next race in Hockenheim.
Yeah, for me, next month is Monza.
Sorry, Monza, my bad.
Yeah,
And
no.
enjoy your holidays.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I can't add anything else than absolutely gutted about race 2. So, I mean, it is what it is. Just keep my head up, try and go forward to Monza, and just try to do the best I can. Again, there, hopefully we'll be somewhere in the top 10 again, like we showed in race 1 today, and over the course of the season. So, who knows?
Thanks, Justin. Thank you very much for your time, and see you in Monza then. All the best.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, I think that is us, and I'll swiftly bring it on to you, Lorenzo, for any closing thoughts here.
Yeah, again, it was a bit of a more boring round this time about. There were still some good fights, and there was still some questionable incidents, but more or less it was just train racing, and if you get lucky you get past it, and yeah, all I can say is hopefully none of that in Hockenheim.
Another different race winner in the form of Mateusz Pushkan. He becomes our, oh boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh god, I'm losing count. We've had so many different race winners. I think he's like our 9th or 10th by now. But yeah, he managed it. We've got 4 different race winners in the last 4 races, which is more impressive. And James Knox becomes the most winningest driver. So that has been the end right here for all of us here at the Hungaroring. Feel free to tune us in to the rest of the Formula of the rest of the GPVWC series. Formula Sprint 1 will return to the Hungaroring at Thursday, the 23rd of July, and Super Lights will be hosting here at Tuesday, the 28th. And then we have got our flagship series of the Super League, which will be in the 30th of July in 2026. For the Academy aspects of things, we'll be at the Tor Poznań in Poland in the 27th. And for us in the Formula Sprint 2 side of things, me and Lorenzo, I think we'll be back in full strength come for the next round at the Hockenheim Ring. as we'll wait to see if we'll have another different race winner or we might see another repeat race winner. Only one way to find out, everyone, and that is to tune in 2 weeks' time. But until then, thank you very much to Lorenzo Eterovic-Funcic for being alongside for me as per always. And thank you very much to Fabio Youngman for his fantastic camera work and his broadcasting. He's been very phenomenal in his first FS2 appearance this year. I think I could be wrong, but until then, yeah, I'd better be right. So thank you very much all, and see you later.